thing.
485 deadlift.
No, do the Dan Matha thing. Don't worry about me. You
Okay.
target Malik first. He's a leader of the pack.
Welcome to the drop, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host Dan Matha, and today we have Jamal.
What? Not what you? Okay, we gonna divert
We have
this.
Malik Ali.
Yes, sir.
And Pierre.
There we go.
How do we all know each other? That's a cool place
That's
to
probably
start,
an easy place to start.
right?
I know you through your sister.
Yeah.
Because I went to your birthday.
Yep.
With your sister. I met you through Malik's Instagram story.
Everybody on my Instagram is like, who is this Dan Matha?
Man, this man. And I met you obviously working out with Dan.
Yeah.
So, and then
We also all know each other through
like other ways.
So
Yep.
AMAW.
I knew Pierre from
AMAW.
AMAW.
Yeah, yep. Because I was there too for a little bit. And
When was you at AMAW?
Two.
Did y'all?
I saw you at doing like a one-on-one with Caitlin one day when I walked in.
Oh, okay.
So I knew you, and then I also know Tiffany.
Okay.
Tiffany told me, like, oh yeah, Jamal, he had me on one of his skits or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I knew of you, but I didn't know you.
Yeah, it was. I was there about 2.5 years ago or something like that. It was a little bit ago.
And then we all decided to get swole.
At the same time.
at the same time.
And it was like, yo.
And that's how I know all of you.
Yes.
Except for Malik, me and Malik. So a little over a year now, I had just moved into Atlanta and I found out about Malik's acting class. And I was looking for a class and my manager was like, hey, here's this class. One of my guys hit it and said he liked it. I was like, all right, cool. I need to start figuring out classes anyways. So I dropped into Malik's class and like my first night, I was just like,
It was a bromance
right.
from first sight. Oh my God.
yeah.
It's funny because when I dropped into your class, I felt like like me and your sister were like hanging out, but it felt like a celebrity couple
It was
coming
like,
in.
Jamal the creative.
Me and his sister never dated or anything, but like it just felt like a celebrity couple coming to like audit a class. And so she was like, my brother teaches this class, and we walk in there, and it's just like
Everyone turns. Like,
well, no, I mean, it was like one or two people that knew me, but it wasn't like that. It was more like it just felt like that because
everybody's so humble in here. Everybody's so humble.
and I was like, okay, because your sister was like raving. She's like, nah, you gotta see my brother's class. And I loved it. I thought it was a great class.
Jamal definitely walks around with that like celebrity, but like he tries to walk around with the humble celebrity swag. It's the fake humble celebrity.
We all see it.
I'm not a celebrity. I am a regular person.
No, yeah, I was just in Tanzania the other night.
I know, right? What are you doing? Oh, yeah, I was just in Africa.
He was like, it was crazy. I was just at the grocery store picking up some things and somebody recognized me in the line. And it was like the first time that happened. And I was like, damn, I'm known. But like, I don't feel like I'm known.
You know what it is though, too? Like, so before even like the YouTube and all of that stuff, I was a flight attendant, obviously for Delta, and y'all probably know that already. But
I remember you on the flight.
yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
I was like, wait, yeah, and then for a second I was like, wait, you do? I don't remember seeing you.
Delta, but
But like because of that job, I traveled so much. So like my lingo from that job is always weird because like how you're saying like, oh, I was just in Africa, I was in Tanzania. It's like we used to talk like that as flight attendants all the time.
Yeah.
So it just became normal.
Yeah.
So like even like it's like, oh, I just feel like flying to like Europe tomorrow. Like that was just a normal thing as a flight attendant. So even now, like I just talk about that like so like it's a normal thing because it's like
it's normal for you.
yeah, and I still can fly.
Which
like,
I
with the
think
privileges
is
of
cool
that.
because like you have experiences and like sometimes you may come into something in one way and it lays the foundation and then you build something else and you still have that same experience.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I agree. So
Same.
let's definitely segue off of me though, and let's segue to this guy right here, the acting coach.
So we've been
the acting savant.
Well, let's go back to the Swole Brothers and Swole.
Oh, we can do that. Yeah.
So because that's where the four of us have really connected.
That's true. That's
Right.
true. Yeah.
And so like I've met each of you through that, and then we've all been kind of able to build a nice strong brotherhood over the last year.
The A squad.
The A squad.
A-squad, I like that.
But I am curious to know the reasoning for everyone essentially seeking fitness as a
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
yeah.
I came into it because we met in class And then I was running like crazy. So I was doing marathons and half marathons, and me and Dan started talking about it. Mm-hmm. And then he brought up the fact that he had this experience in athletics, and I was like, I have this issue going on with the right side of my body, and I'm trying to figure out like how to balance out. Mm-hmm. And he just invited me to come work out. Mm-hmm. And after that workout, I was like blown away. Mm. And we instantly recognized a lot of discrepancy. So like I had limited mobility in my hips. Mm. I had super tight hip flexors. My hamstrings were like really hard, right? Ankles, calves, like all these places for like runners, it's just a natural thing to have a lot of tension and stress there. Mm-hmm. But I really, once I went through a couple of sessions with him, it really made me see the benefit of longevity, and I slowly stopped running. Mm. And the whole mission changed from that point. Mm-hmm. And it started very simply like, oh, I just want to get more flexible, want to get more mobile, want to increase my strength. And then once that happened, then I was like, oh.
Start seeing the results.
Yeah. Start seeing the results. And then it was like, okay, well, these primary movements, and it's challenging in a way and rewarding in a way that I personally have not found through any other athletic endeavor. Mm-hmm. As the intelligence increased, everything increased, you know. And it's like, it really is like a deeper meditation on life at this point. To be able to build something. Mm-hmm. And your body is like the greatest place to start and learn things like commitment, learn things like dedication, learn things like consistency and discipline. Mm. And so it was like this happy medium of like some of the experiences that I had, but really learning how to lock in and open up a new phase and chapter in my life. So at this point, like I said, I identify more as a lifter than a runner at this point.
Yeah, he's all in now.
And it's beautiful, man. Like it's like actually like it's like a spiritual experience, truthfully. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm.
That's great podcast material. Put that clip on the gram right there.
Well, it's interesting because when you think about lifting, you don't really think about all of that stuff, right? You think about aesthetics, right? Yeah. You think about, looking good, being strong. You think of all these very surface level vain things. And most people don't ever think about weightlifting beyond that. And so like when you bring up like this spiritual experience, right? Like it brings a lot of joy to me to hear that, because it's like not a lot of people talk about that. And so to hear people talk about that, I think will do, like, I love to hear it, and I think more people need to hear it, because there really is this, like, there's just something about just learning your body, right? Like, learning the abilities of your body, the limitations of your body, overcoming those limitations, and then gaining a greater connection to yourself, right? That you didn't have before. And you learn things about yourself in the process of the gym. That's why, like, I always say, like, it's not just some like corny catchphrase. Like, training is a microcosm for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like that shit echoes, right? And so then and that's been this what really was been really beautiful for me this year, training at like transitioning into as a full-time coach, is like starting to like see that with you guys, right? And like seeing people gain that joy and that connection to training, right? And it's like, I never thought I would enjoy like coaching quite as much, like weight training as a coach as much, right? It's always been for me a very personal, right? It's been revolved around athletics. 12 years old, 11 years old, football. Then from football into wrestling. So like there's always been a purpose behind training. If I do this, it's gonna make me better at this. And I loved it, and I always learned and grew and tried to learn as much as I could. But then now, and I've always had a great satisfaction from training. But to be able to like teach someone else how to train and then watch them gain that same satisfaction from training, gain that same connection with their body, has been equally as satisfying for me as anything else has been in my training career.
That's dope.
And I think that's partly a testament to like you choose who you want to train. Like you're not just training anybody who walks in and wants to purchase some time with Dan Matha.
Yeah.
Because like I'm sure there are people you could train where you have to like drag them in who aren't gonna listen to your programming. And it's like, why train those folks? That's probably you've probably seen that happen where like folks start coaching and it becomes more of a burden than a joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a selection process.
Yeah.
And I've been like fortunate to be in a position where I could be selective when I start training people. Yeah. And that's why I'm not like just taking anybody who's trying to throw cash at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love training with you, man. Because I be using some of your stretches and mobility. I be going to LA Fitness and doing it right before we play. People be looking at me. They're like, "What's he doing?" Like they be, hating on me because they don't know what I'm doing. I'm mobility training right now. You ain't never seen that before.
Right.
Because you ain't got a trainer like I got. I'm just saying, I've been there, bring it down. Gotta get the stretch there, man. They like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
That's because those hoopers just only care about hooping.
Yeah, they just care about playing basketball.
Ball is life. Ball
Is
is life.
They don't care about stretching, training. They're just like, yo, I'll see you at the court. I'll see you at the court at 10 a.m.
Exactly, and that's it. I know for me though, I guess I was trying to just like, I got a little lost in life a little bit, just finding myself and who I was and who I wanted to be. I knew when I was younger, I felt like I was in my prime as far as like life, like between 21 and like 26. Because I remember during that period of my life, I was working out like heavily. And I was like, this is the greatest part of my life. And I was like, I got to figure out a way to get back to that. And, I was trying different things like yoga and just different avenues, which helped out a lot. But I never really got to a place to where I felt back like myself. Yeah. And I kept going to the gym, but I didn't have that like, motivation. Yeah. I would go work out for a couple weeks. And then I was like, I just need somebody to keep me accountable. Consistent. Yeah. Like somebody who like knows what the hell. Are we allowed to curse on here?
Yes.
Knows what the fuck they're doing. Knows what the fuck they're doing and is gonna like slap me in the neck and like keep me accountable. You know what I mean? And I mean, obviously it just was timing because I was like, I need to get a trainer. And I look at you and I'm like, I don't remember Malik looking like this. I'm like, last time I saw Malik, he was like this nomad vegan, like, I don't know what he was. He looked like, hippie, but he was skinny. And now I'm looking at these videos.
Runners and stuff.
Malik take his shirt off, muscle on muscles on muscles. I was like, okay. I was like, Malik,
I gotta tap in.
Who you got? Because I gotta tap in, and he just sent me to you, man. And I'll honestly say, bro, like it was hard at first, like because I was talking to him today about like even doing I don't even know what it's called, the hangs. Just like when you had me first do those, man, my body was hurting. Yeah. But like even like from the beginning to like now, my mood, my routine, how I approach the day, everything is like night and day difference. So like I'll just say like from my heart, like thank you for what you've been through in your life to be able to share that to help me like grow as a person through working out and getting stronger. And I said, fuck yoga, fuck all that other shit. I'm just gonna do this shit. And it's good to have a group of guys that like, we all relate on the same wavelength and we kind of, we're all good. I feel like we're all good guys and stuff like that. We're on the same age and we can relate and like work out together and grow together.
And challenge each other.
Yeah. Because I'm always, I see him and I'm like, man, I'm fucking Malik, boy, his form is perfect. You know what I mean? Because you always know when the dude training the guy never critiques him. Like, Dan don't ever say nothing to Malik. He don't ever say nothing.
Oh, he just taping it. He's recording.
And then sometimes he'll say stuff to me and then he got that look on his face like, your technique a little off, Jamal, but I'm going to let you have it.
He's so humble with it.
Yeah, he be like, I'm gonna let you have it, just because I'm getting on you a little too much, because I ain't said nothing to Malik. I see you. I peep.
Well, to Dan's defense, look, me and him, we spend a significant amount of time working out, and he really did like guide me through. But really, before there was anybody else working out with us, so a lot of that I had a really at the ground level, I was able to take a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So it's like that in and of itself is like what has helped me grow a lot. It's like the first part of this journey, it was just me and him. You know, and it's like, I'm super grateful because like, I think a lot of people they can't stay consistent in the working out is because you don't have somebody to guide you. And so you go walk into a gym and you see all this equipment and you see all these people doing stuff and you don't know what to do. That's why I stayed out of gyms I would go into gyms and I would go in real fast and then I would get out. And I'm like I was running out and like all the things, I was always athletic, but it's like the gym was always this place where it was intimidating because like you walk in there and you see guys and they're like ripped and they're big and it's like, oh, hey, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like really, what do I do when I walk into the space? And for someone to program the workout and then be like, yo, it's okay, like to come in here and be like standing next to dudes who are like obviously bigger and have been doing it for more years.
Yeah.
I think you have to do that. Like that's why like excellent trainers are important, excellent coaches are important because like that's a whole journey just to get to the space to feel comfortable to be like, okay, yeah, I see this dude, he's like 200 pounds and he's like yoked and I'm like standing next to him and when I started, I tell you, I was 140.
Yeah.
So like imagine that parallel mentally. You know, you're seeing guys with like heavy weights, and you're like, and we're doing like, you know, I'm doing 10 pounds. But because Dan was there and was supporting me in that sense, I took to it, and that also is the thing that keeps. I respected that. And it's like, oh, I'm definitely gonna show up.
Yeah,
like I'm gonna work harder because like that's all I needed was someone to guide me.
Yeah.
Take the ambiguity out.
Take the questions out of it. Take the fear out of it. You know, to say like, oh, I was in that same position. You know what I'm saying? Like coming into it, like, oh, Dan would tell me like he didn't know what he was doing when he first started working out and like developing. And I think that like once again we get to this life principle where it's like everything that we do is this thing of like we need somebody to show us, like, hey, bro, like. You all right? Like you just starting out. Like you don't put yourself under pressure of someone who's been doing it for 10, 20 years when you've only been doing it for 3 months. And that's like life changing. You know, even in our respective industry, just like a lot of people can't sustain their career because you can't just get into a space where you feel comfortable, where you feel like I'm supposed to be here. It's like, oh, I'm comparing myself to everybody. It's like, it's not a comparison. It's like, and that freed me, bro. I was like, oh, it's not a comparison. Cool. Now I know what I need to do.
Interesting. I kind of like got into it for the comparison, like, and the accountability, because my background, I had worked out pretty consistently my entire life. Like I was a CrossFit dude for 4 years. I actually coached CrossFit for 6 months right before the pandemic. I moved, I lost my CrossFit gym and I fell out of shape. And I was like, I need to get back into it, but I don't have the mental capacity or the emotional capacity to do CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I don't, like I could go buy a program online and find like a basic strength training program, but I'm not gonna do that by myself. I'm not gonna go to LA Fitness and do this every day. Adjust to like injuries or the things that are uncomfortable and push myself without somebody there to like give me the knowledge, give me the encouragement. And like part of it is like if I'm not paying for something, like I know behaviorally for me, I'm just less likely to like, if I know I'm not invested, it's just easy for me to logic my way out of going.
Skin in the game.
So I saw Malik's Instagram. I was like, I also saw Malik. I was like, when last I saw Malik was like this like
y'all ain't seen nothing yet.
Cross country runner, and I'm following his page.
I was running like a motherfucker.
This man.
I'm watching his form. I'm like, oh, like he's doing things correctly. So he's not just in there with some random person giving him random information. Like he's getting results. He seems to be doing it in a healthy way. So let me like check it out. Cause I didn't know Dan at the time. So when I checked, when I evaluated Dan, when I came in, I'm like, all right, is this gonna be like another? Cause there's plenty of Instagram trainers out there. Plenty.
We can't even get into that conversation.
Anybody can just put trainer in the bio.
So after the initial consultation, I was like, okay, he's paying attention to like what I'm doing, and also like Dan's experience outside of being a coach. So like having played football, having been in the WWE, having been in very injury prone professions previous to that, like, all right, this guy knows how to like avoid injury, and if he has an injury, like adjust accordingly. And that's not, a lot of trainers don't have that. So like doing things correctly is more important to you than I think than a lot of other trainers that I've seen in plenty of places.
All right.
This is always like a reason why for everything. And that's what I like. It's like he always gives you the why. And a lot of trainers don't do that. It's just like, oh, do this. And you're like, what does this mean? And they're kind of just like, we'll just do it.
It's hard to give the why because you actually have to know why you're doing something. But then two, also it takes communication. It takes like brain capacity to be able to explain to somebody. And then also you may understand, as a trainer, you may understand what you're doing and why you're doing it and be able to explain it to other trainers. But can you take this thing and explain it to someone who has no idea what the fuck you're talking about?
Layman's terms.
Can you break something down and explain it to someone who has no experience whatsoever? And so like for me, I see what the biggest thing with a lot of trainers, one is we can get into the conversation of a lot of them just not really having that much experience. You can get a certification, right? Like you can get certified as a trainer, like in a 4-week program. Not even 2 weeks, anybody can be certified. You can have some 22-year-old chick, right? Be like, I am NASM certified. And so like, would you trust that person to train you, right? You know, that's a question you can only ask yourself or answer yourself. No. But then, but then the next thing is, and there's a lot of really talented trainers out there that got fucking masters and PhDs and have gone through like really like impressive sports programs, but they can't communicate. They can't communicate. They're poor communicators. And so for me, one, personally, I'm a why guy. I need to know why. I always have questioned everybody growing up. Why? Why? If you can tell me why, I'll learn it differently. It'll be like burned in me. And so some authorities I've learned over life don't like that. Some teachers don't like when you ask the why. They feel like you're questioning them, challenging them, right? Coaches, same thing. I just have never been afraid to ask why. And I just know I need to know why. So like my thing is, if I'm gonna train you and I'm gonna have you do something, I need you to know why I'm doing this, because I know if you know why, it'll make more sense. You'll have a stronger connection to it, and you'll be like more motivated towards doing the thing that way, right? If I just tell you, hey, I need you to sit your hips back while we're doing RDLs, right? Like, and just that's it. You might do it, or you might not do it. But if I tell you, hey, I need you to push your hips back, dig the heels into the ground on the way up, because you're going to engage your hamstrings and your glutes exponentially more effective and, you know, keep yourself safer, et cetera, all these things, then you're gonna be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Right? And so I'm always trying to figure out how to communicate in the most efficient way possible. So I've been breaking it down. This has been like something I've been on recently, is how do I give you the visual cue? How do I give you the auditory cue? And how do I give you the kinesthetic cue? Right? Because everybody is one of those three things in terms of learning, right? Most people, especially dudes, are visual and kinesthetic. So, okay, I'm gonna show you how to do this, and then I'm gonna give you a cue that's gonna help you feel it. And so if I can give you those three things, and then when you see it, hear it, and then feel it, you'll know exactly what you should feel and how to do it. And it should be like burned in your brain. And so like, that's just, I don't know. That's just me as a coach.
I know it's funny he's talking about one of them 21, 22-year-old trainers. I was one of them who got the certificates when I was younger.
Right.
Dan debunked everything I knew about training. I was like, damn, I wasn't doing shit right.
Yeah, man. It's like you probably knew something. You probably knew more than like a random person on the street.
I knew more than that,
but probably not enough to be an effective coach for a lot of people in a lot of different situations.
Not like Dan, I can tell you that.
Well, I mean, dude, it's like anything. Like anybody can get good at something, competent at something pretty quick. If you say, I just saw this thing, like if you put 20 hours of like intentional, focused effort into learning something, you can get like above averagely competent in something.
No more than 50% of people.
Right. But does that allow you to take a person and train them, right? Maybe one person, but what happens when a second or a third or a fourth person come in? Because people are so individual.
Yeah.
All of you guys, I train each of you guys differently than each other. We're running off the same program. We're working from point A to point B, right? We're working towards the same goals. And all like the technical stuff is the same. But there's little individual tweaks I have to give to each of you based on your body mechanics, past injuries, strengths and weaknesses, right? Like, you are extremely explosive, right? So like jumping stuff, I don't really have to tell you much. You can kind of just do it, right? But in terms of, you've got really long legs. So I have to be extra attentive to your, and you kind of, sometimes you go knock knee, right? You do the little knock knee, which is not like an uncommon thing. People deal with that. So I have to just be more attentive with you, making sure that you're keeping your knees pressed out, gripping the ground, pressing your knees out, not letting your knees caved in. Where with Pierre, I know Pierre has like a back injury, right? So like, he has a back injury in the past. So I've got to be I got to be more conscious of him, making sure that he's braced, making sure his core is braced, and not putting him in position because you're not a power lifter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we don't need you to break any world records for deadlifting, right? Would it be good to deadlift heavy and get to that place? Yes. Are we going to get to that place? Yes. But do we need to do it at the cost of like majorly injuring yourself? No. And are there other ways to get you that strong without actually deadlifting? Does it mean pulling you off the ground and having you pull from blocks? Does it mean pulling you from a rack? Does it mean doing dumbbells? You have to have that experience to know how to plug and play, right? Take this out, put this in. Does that work? How do you feel? If I hear or any hesitation, okay, take that out. Let's try something else until I get an emphatic yes. Oh, I felt that, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, right? And like, so I'm trying to help figure that out as well. I'm trying to figure out what you know and what you don't know, and then take what I know and help you get to where we're at.
Microcosm for life, like you said. That's a microcosm for like all coaching. Like as an acting coach, I'm sure you probably think about that all the time. Like different cues that work for different people to do different things.
What's interesting is Dan's talking, like the word that comes up is, they describe it's called bio-individuality, right? And everybody's different, and yet we create systems that makes everybody feel like they're the same, right? So a great coach is going to be someone who understands like there's three different people who have different experiences, who maybe need to hear the instruction in a different way, and to also to admit the fact that you're still learning, and like that's part of also to me like an excellent coach is someone who is like I have a certain skill set, but I'm still challenging myself to be able to present it in a way that is compelling and effective. I'm not resting on any laurels. I'm like literally in the trenches with the people, like figuring it out in real time, you know? And I feel like with a lot of trainers, it's so easy to just be like, I do this, and then you just stop there.
Yeah.
And you just like, you get complacent, you get your clients, you get your consistent paycheck, and you just go to sleep. And I knew that when I met Dan, I was like, this dude is on it, because like he would see things like instantly and be like, stop, we're gonna adjust, right? Oh, we're not pushing. Okay, now today we're gonna push, right? And it was like it was intentional and it was specific.
Yeah.
Right? Which is like you see other people working it out and you're like, yo, you're literally just moving your body. And if that's the program that you're offering, great. But I don't want that.
Right.
It's like, to me, that's like a recipe to be injured.
Yeah.
And the whole point of training is so that you build your body so that you can have longevity. Yep. In any career, as in the acting profession, it's like you want to build a way of working that allows you to have longevity, that allows you to mitigate the stress of the industry, that keeps you grounded when everything is going crazy and wild, right? It's like, and that is, like I said, I don't think there's a lot of people that resonate from that space. I was talking about this earlier, but like we live in a time where it's like everything is instant. Everything is like fad. Everything is like, you can be a professional just because you create a page.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you're dealing with a person's body, that is to me completely disrespectful. Because like, if I put you through emotion and I fuck your back up, that could be a lifelong. Yeah. If I put you through emotion and you get seriously injured.
And that's why
I'm just saying.
And that's why, like, honestly, like, I take this shit super, like the fact that you guys have entrusted me to train you, right? The money, all that shit, right? That shit, I mean, it's great, helps me pay my bills, but like to me, the fact that you've entrusted your body to me is the greatest responsibility that I have in my life. Every day I think about how can I train my guys? What are they doing well? What do they need to work on? What can I do to help them understand these things? That's why when we train, I'm watching you guys so intently, right? Because I want to make sure that if there's any slip ups, if your technique's off, I can be there to make sure that you don't get hurt. Because if you get hurt, right, like to me, then I've not even just like that I've failed, but like I've let you down, right? Like my job is to help you get to another level, to help your body get to a place where it's strong and it's durable and you're healthy for a long time. And if you get hurt, that's like the opposite of everything in which like I'm here for and what I'm doing. So like it really pains my heart if I see one of my guys hurt. Because it's like, I know what it's like to be hurt. Yeah. I know what it's like to be in pain. And like, I know what it's like to not be able to train and do the things that I love. And that shit fucking sucks. And I see it so much with trainers today. Like, it's just a matter of time before your client's getting hurt the way you're training them. And I just like, I just won't hold myself to that standard. I hold myself to a different standard. And like, I've got a plethora of experience. I have a plethora of resources, and I'm just like, I just don't operate like that. And so like, I need to make sure, like I said, it's just the greatest responsibility that I have, and I don't take that shit lightly.
And the beautiful thing about it is like one that you pointed out, like Dan still like keeps learning new stuff. Like I hear him like, oh, I saw this on so-and-so, let's try this out. And I'm like, it's dope that like, someone as like elevated and like has the knowledge that is still like, let me get some more knowledge. Let me go get some more knowledge. And then another thing is like the where we can relate this to everything, building the foundation first. Like people don't understand how like in order to have anything sustainable, like you have to build that foundation. And the fact that you did that is like, it was just wonderful to like be a part of, you know.
Because we all spent like at least 1 to 3 months, I think each one of us like you like gauging where we were at in different modes of movement. Where you were like, all right, let's try this. Let me see where your strengths are here. Where you were just like trying to figure out our individual like kinks. And I think that's super helpful. Most coaches don't do that. Like they get your goals, they might take some measurements, and they provide you with the program. Like, all right, this is the basic program from strengthtraining.com. It's like, oh, okay, I see what's being sold here.
Yeah.
Also,
Go ahead.
Also, you know, the advice to understand nutrition.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, it's like a dual conversation that happens, and you're saying like the results that you have. Yes, one part of it is the physical, right? But then there's an equal part where it's like you have to have the conversation about how you feel your body, right? And that was like I said, people say like my results, but it was literally because it was like, let's think of, I was vegan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I was
whole
vegan.
eating lifestyle.
Like I was vegan.
Yeah.
And I had a certain way of eating that was still a clean diet, right? But I was vegan. And I was like, all right, I'm open, but like I don't. And he gave me more insight into like some true science, and I was like, oh, all right, I had this all wrong. Yeah. and I was like, and it's great to stay open because like, oh, let me test it and see.
Yeah.
Like that's how you know someone is real about it. It's like when someone gives you information and you say, I trust this is a source that is valuable. Okay, we've created this way to communicate, and now let me test it and see. Even with your training, it's like, okay, I've done one session with you, I've worked out with you, right? Okay, let me test and see. And I had just incredible results.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. Like I would see other people. It's like people were like, I mean, really, guys, like in under a year, like I tell you, it's like in under a year, I've gained 25 pounds of muscle in under a year. Now, most people are saying that's like a long journey. It was not that long. It wasn't that long, and it wasn't like relatively like we weren't grinding out every single workout.
Right.
It was simple adjustments that were made over time that produce, you know, incredible results. when you look at it, it's like, I just don't know how you can't move in that direction. Like, you can't rest on your laurel. You got to be like, there's a better way to always, there's what's tried and true. And then there's the experiment of like, okay, this guy has this skill set. Let me see how I can, like, this guy has this skill set. Let me see how I can, this guy does this really well. Okay, but he's lacking here, right? I'm gonna support this, but I have to build this, That's not an easy thing. Like you that's like, I salute you, bro. You know?
We gotta do a little for Dan.
Yeah,
Let's do it for Dan. We gotta do it for Dan.
Seriously.
Give
And
it
then
up
the
for the
camaraderie, the brotherhood, like
there's
a whole other element of like, I mean, we're friends. Like that's even more powerful. It's like you create a culture.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we come into the space and people know it's a culture. Like we're not fucking around when we walk into that gym. It's not like, hey, let's work out. It's like we're here to work.
Yeah.
All those other trainers in the gym, they know.
They look at us different. They do look at us differently. I don't know if you noticed, but people look at us a little different when they like, oh.
Well, it's just, it's like you said, there's like a standard, right? Within, like, if you're training with me, there's like a standard in which everybody operates. And like and that's not like me telling people, yo, my guys train like this, we train like this, you know what I mean? It's like we just show up and we put in the work and they see it, right? And they see it from the results. So it's like when we come in, it's a serious, intense workout. Like, are we laughing? Are we having a good time? Of course. Yeah. So that's what the fuck this is about. That's the fun. When I look back on all of my athletics, like the big wins or the terrible losses, like, I mean, obviously I remember those things, I think, but the things that like were the best part of training was building a bond with men working towards a common goal, right? Like that is what is like, that is what's life-changing, right? Those are the things that like echo with you throughout the rest of your life. And so it's like, that's what, and that's been the beautiful thing about this is like, that's what we are doing, right? Is through this is like building these relationships, building the bond, right? We all have a common goal and we're like working towards it. We're pushing each other, keeping each other accountable, motivating each other.
That's the other part. I know a lot of folks who have like tried getting trainers before and they're like, I wasn't really feeling it. I'm just like, sometimes you just got to find the right person to like, who can communicate to you specifically, who you actually like training under. Because sometimes it's not even like the workout. It's like you just don't vibe with the coach. But you gotta keep trying to like find somebody who's like getting you results, one. Yeah. And it also like someone you enjoy training and working with and coaching under. Super underrated.
Yeah.
And it's like anything, right? It's like, okay, this didn't work for me, but that doesn't mean the training is bad for you. It's this coach didn't work for you. That style of training wasn't made for you, right? You got to keep going until you find it. It's like the same thing with the diet. You got to find a diet that works for you, right? Some people want to eat 6 meals a day. That's too many fucking meals for me, bro. I used to do the 6 meals.
I'm not trying to cook all that.
Right? 6 meals a day. Like if I was going down the bodybuilding route, like maybe I'm doing 6 meals a day, right? Again, but like for me, even when I was wrestling, like 4 meals a day, that was like my limit, right? I was going 4. I know I could do 4 big ass meals, right? And I would hit all my goals, and that was like doable, right? More than that, no way. Right. And for someone else, it might be 3. And that's okay. That's what's so beautiful about this. You are Dr. Frankenstein and his creation in this process. Right. You find people that can give you the knowledge and put you on game, and you take that knowledge and you start applying it to yourself. Right. And you keep applying, you keep learning, you keep testing. And it goes back to life, bro. It's the same thing with life. Every couple months, every so often, you got to take a little, pit stop and you got to do some introspection on yourself. Like, where am I at? Like, what am I doing well? What do I need to work on? Okay, I'm doing this well. I need to work on this. I'm real reactive when people do this. Why am I real reactive when people say this thing to me? Why do I lose my composure or snap or do this? Oh, I notice when I get in an uncomfortable situation with somebody I'm close with, I pull away. Oh, I have an avoidant style of communicating or an avoidant attachment style. Where does that stem from? Oh, maybe when I was younger, my parents acted like this, so then I acted like that. Like, are you doing those things? Yeah, hopefully you're doing it in the gym with your training, because that's what we're talking about. But like, that's the shit you got to be doing in your life, right? And I think that I feel like for me personally, it's been one of the things that's really allowed me to go from one industry to the next and really excel, right? Is like pulling back and doing like, okay, this is what I'm doing well. This is what I suck at. How do I get better at these things? And how do I make this thing better? All right. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going and never stopping. And I think that's really the key to anything that we want in our lives. Whatever it is, like not have that like recognizing negative self-talk, right? Because we all do it. Even the most positive people. I catch myself doing it sometimes. Oh, yeah. Even still today, right? I catch myself saying some shit, like some negative shit in my mind. I'm like, why the fuck am I saying that? Right? Where's that coming from? Where's that self-doubt coming from? Am I afraid of this thing? Oh, it's because I've been injured in the past doing this thing before, right? Oh, okay. Maybe, am I going to get hurt doing this thing again? Or did that just happen because a one-off? Or maybe I was out of position? Maybe. Okay. Are you stronger now? Are you in a better position? Yeah? Okay. How do you feel? Oh, I feel great. Should you doubt yourself? Oh, no. All right, let's go get this thing. Right? And like, you just take that shit. Same with the relationship, right? Why is it when every 3 months when I'm with a girl that I like, that I start getting to this place where I'm like, you know what?
That's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna hop on Hinge. I'm gonna swipe right on some other chicks, right? Or you know what? Maybe I'm.
That is a weird ass name for an app. Like, why is it called Hinge?
I don't know why.
Hinging on the edge, bro.
Yeah, I mean that's like eye opening, man. Because like I feel like that's like especially within like relationships, you really have to practice commitment. It's a life principle.
Yeah.
You know, it's like in commitment, I think sometimes people say that word, but like commitment is not when shit is good. Commitment is not like when everything is great, then I'm committed. But it's like commitment is when shit is all the way hit the fan. You know, commitment is like when you're tired, are you still gonna go work out? You know, commitment is like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it, but I still gotta show up.
Yeah.
Which is a deeper meditation. It's like, because you're not gonna build anything without it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't always feel good. And looking at yourself is not sometimes the most exciting thing to do. It's like, oh, it's really a lot.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I have shit in my closet that I have to start to process if I want to grow.
Yeah.
You know? Which is always a meditation.
Yes.
Do I want to stay in this position or do I want to grow? And it's like, when you look at that scientifically, if you get stagnant, it's death.
Yeah.
You know? You stop moving, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You stop learning, you're dead. Right? There's not really a point really even to reach.
Yeah.
It's hard knowing like when you're comfortable and stagnant and like, oh, when am I happy? Because like in relationships and I'm sure in working out, like you get to points of like where you're enjoying what you're doing. Like you were running for a long time and you were happy with that. You felt healthy. You were playing basketball and you felt like you were healthy. And then you try something else and it's like, oh, I was not healthy. I think you have to have like, I don't know if it's self-confidence or like a good clock of like, I'm valuable no matter if I'm comfortable or if I'm not, if I'm good at something or if I'm not. So like if I injure myself at the gym, I don't like give up and say, oh, I guess working out isn't for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a workout person.
Yeah.
Guess I'll never go to the gym again. It's like, no, I just gotta try something new. Or I'll try, like you tried football, you got injured, you're like, oh, I'm gonna try wrestling now. And you had enough confidence to be like, all right, I'll figure it out. I'll be uncomfortable for a while and I'll get good at it eventually. But you stuck it out through hard times in those areas of life and relationships and everything else.
And I think that gives it like, and this is just what I've come to learn really recently. It's like the hard times are what give you the weight and the joy. Like happiness, like people would throw that word around. It's like happy, everybody's happy. It's like, motherfucker, it's not about being happy.
Exactly.
Like, I don't even,
It's not
like,
about being happy,
you
bro.
start getting into business, you start pursuing your dreams and your passions. And happy is not a word that always is like, it's like, I'm not happy. Like, I'm okay saying that. There's some moments where I'm like, I am not happy.
Yeah.
But what I am is committed to what it is that I do.
Yes.
There's some days I'm coming to the gym and I'm like,
Yes.
There is like we can't keep it real with each other. Like there's
you're
something
right.
like I had a day like last week. I was tired as fuck. Like I was like, yo, I really just want to like go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I have to go through that thing. It's like, come on, bro, get up,
Yeah.
get up, get up.
Get up.
It's not gonna build itself,
Bro, those days only come in greater waves as you get longer into the
Yeah.
It's not like they don't go away, they don't lessen as time goes on. They actually come in greater intensity.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm 22 years into training.
Yeah.
And there's some days where it's like, especially now, because it's like I'm in this weird stage of my life where I'm no longer training to push my body to the absolute limit, which is like something has been hard for me to deal with, because since I was 11, it's been like, yo, let's push it to the fucking limit.
Yeah.
Right? Let me push it to the limit, because I'm going to be in an arena with another man across from me who's going to try me. And I got to make sure that no motherfucker can try me. You know? So like that allowed me to every day push myself for 22 years. Right?
Yeah.
And like now I'm at this place where I'm still in that same place where I've got to push myself, right? I'm the man in the arena, but it's a different arena, right? Like it's not a physical arena anymore. It's like an emotional, it's a mental, it's a spiritual arena. But the physical, I can't lose track of the importance of the physical, right? So now it's like I've got to rechange the framing of how I train. And so there's some days where it's like, man, why the fuck am I doing this? Because I could just stop working out. I could just stop working out and still be stronger than 98% of the people on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, because I've been training I've got 22 years. I'm
stronger than all you.
We can tell when you lifted that damn 500 like it was nothing today. He was just like,
And like, so it's like.
That's all of us though, when you think about it, when you think about like statistically, what we did today, that puts you in a category of people where it's like the average person, you're on a different planet.
Can't do this.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You were getting ready.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, I was just, when to what you were just saying, like, that's something that we get fucked up on, is always comparing ourselves to other people in the gym. You touched on this earlier, and this has kind of got brought up here, and it kind of ties in with this whole happiness thing. But like, I agree that happiness is like, humans weren't built to be happy. We're built to survive.
Yes.
Now, is it like on us to overcome human nature and find happiness? That's like kind of the journey of life, right? That's like the spiritual journey you're going to fucking embark on.
Yeah.
There are going to be days where you're not fucking happy. You're going to have to deal with it. But also, you aren't going to find happiness outside of yourself, right? Like happiness does not exist out here. It exists right here. And so like when you start comparing yourself to that guy who's benching 500 pounds on Instagram, right? And and your feed is just guys benching 315, 405, 515, guys squatting 800 pounds, 700 pounds, right? And that's all you see. You think that that's what the standard is. That's what everybody's doing. But that's like a percentage of 1% of people on the planet that are doing those things. They're just all the time in your face because of social media. And so it's like, yo, if you can squat 2.5 times your body weight, deadlift 2.5 times your body weight, bench your body weight, like you are in the like extreme percentages of people on fit people on the planet. And so worrying about all these other things like is only going to make you unhappy, because what will happen is you'll hit 300 pounds, you'll hit 400 pounds, you'll hit 500 pounds, you'll never be happy. Right? It's just more and more and more. There's this like running kind of like, I guess it's a joke within like the bodybuilding community, but it's like the day you picked up the weight is the day that you've never been satisfied with how big you are. You know what I mean? Like day you pick up a weight, like you'll never be satisfied with how big you are. And like I can speak to that personally, like in this world of body dysmorphia, right? Like in my mind, I'm not big, I gotta get bigger. I gotta get bigger, I gotta get bigger, I gotta get bigger. I look back after my car accident, I took some time from training for the first time in like 20 years. And I'm like going back through my phone and just looking at times where I was in like peak shape. I saw all these videos and these pictures that I'd never posted online. And I'm like, why did I fucking post this thing? And it was because I didn't think I was jacked enough.
You look back and you're like, man,
I didn't think I was ripped. I didn't think I was lean enough. I didn't think I was big enough. And not so much that I didn't think I was big enough, because I've always been a big motherfucker. And so like being big never has really been the issue, but being lean enough, right? Always being worried about being like chubby, right? Or not being ripped.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a six pack, like you're fat, right?
Yeah.
That's like what a lot of people think, which is like isn't the case. But I like look back, I'm like, damn, bro, I can't believe I blew an opportunity. You know what I mean? This was content. You know what I mean? Can I go back and still post this thing? Can I still retro post this?
TBT, Throwback Thursday right here.
And so we're always looking for this thing outside of ourselves, whether it's training or in life, that's going to like make us feel better. And it's like, nah, man, like trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the process and just focus on you. And it's like that cheesy thing where it's like, I'm the only person that I'm competing with.
Yeah.
Like every day, all day.
Yeah.
Like I'm not competing with anybody.
Yeah.
Do I have am I competitive? Of course I'm a competitive person. But like over the time, like one of the biggest shifts for me was like, I stopped competing with other people. Because, and this is the thing, we glorify competitive motherfuckers, especially in male culture, especially in sports, right? Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant are considered like killers, right? We put them on a pedestal, even over other players that are better than them, right? But we say that they were killers. So like they were a different kind of breed, right? It's like the LeBron Jordan like debate. Like they say LeBron doesn't have enough killer instinct, which is like, it's
Still great.
What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah.
The dude went to 9 straight finals.
Yeah.
He's about,
Won championship with 3 different teams.
Right, because he wasn't like yelling and fighting people and making up crazy shit. Like he had a different way of showing his competitiveness. He actually was like a empathetic leader rather than just like a fucking tyrant, which both can work. I ain't knocking either one. Both can work. They're just different. But like in our culture, we have like glorified that. So as a young kid, I remember if I didn't have that when I was training, if I wasn't like, I gotta beat you in everything, like I was thinking I wasn't training hard enough or competing hard enough. I didn't want it bad enough. But like the truth is, like those motherfuckers are never happy. Those people are never happy. And I know we just got done saying that happiness isn't like a primary goal, but like that just puts you in this weird headspace, right? Because here's the thing, even if you end up being the best out of everybody, you will never be your best.
That makes a lot of sense.
You'll never be your best because you are always trying to be better than everyone else. And so here's the crazy thing about Michael Jordan. Like, based on this theory, Michael Jordan could have been an exponentially better player.
How so? Or like why? Or what would have made him better?
Because by always trying to compete with other people, like you're actually limiting yourself in terms of what you can be. Because it's always, I got to be better than this person, that person, but you're never.
It's in relationship to something else.
Right.
Right. Which is like, you're right. It's like you're doing the thing, but I'm looking at you. It's like really, if I was focused, I would be focused on me. And that would be the thing that would help me max myself out in a way. But because I'm looking over here, I'm saying, and it's like, as opposed to me just saying, I'm locked into just what I'm going to do. The results are going to be the results either way.
Well, we can use a great we'll use a great analogy here. We'll just go to Dragon Ball Z, bro, and we'll just go Goku and Vegeta. We'll just go Goku and Vegeta. And like Vegeta can never catch Goku because he's always trying to compete with Goku.
Yeah.
And Goku's like, yo, I'm connected to the fucking world.
Yeah.
Bro.
And he's trying to be the best version of himself.
Right.
And he's so light and carefree and joyful. Yeah. Right? You look at that character of Goku and it's like, he was like, he had a sense of humor. He had a family. He was like in tune with a lot of things. And like Vegeta was just like, he was like always just like hard. I gotta beat you. I gotta beat you. He's like just screaming all the time. Like, yo, Goku was like over here like on a like cloud little
just getting stronger.
Right? But when he focused, he put everything he had into it.
Yeah.
But then it was like married to this beautiful like, but he's not doing it solely for himself.
Yeah.
Which is a powerful meditation, in my opinion. It's like, I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing this so that we all have a potential to live, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That shit's heavy.
I think it's also, too, like, about the why. So, like, you were touching on about, like, essentially for 20 years or however long that stint was, you was always working out for a reason. And then that why disappeared. And it's good. And I can relate because like this recently happened to me within this year as well. Like I got to a point to where I was very like, I was still creating content all the time, blah, blah, blah. But then I was getting to a point where I was just like, why am I going so hard? You know, like it just doesn't make sense. You know, like I'm making the money that I said I've always wanted to make. I'm doing exactly what I'm living in my purpose, what I've been working towards. But like, it's not there for me anymore. And I didn't realize it. It was because my why was not the same why anymore. So I had to like go through this journey, in which I'm still kind of currently in, of refiguring out my why. Like his why was like, you get shredded and be the best shape because I'm going to destroy this person right across from me. Or I'm going to, this person's going to try to kill me or out wrestle me or whatever. I got to be at the best shape. But then when that's all gone away, it's like,
what's there?
Yeah, why am I still doing this? Like, but just having the mindset of like, well, you can find new purpose. Just like in a relationship, you can find new things about your partner that you get excited about. Yeah. To be able to keep striving forward, to understand that, you know what, I did choose this route for a reason. Yeah. This is why I say it's like very important for people, like especially if they're doing social media, do something you're extremely passionate in. Yeah. Because on the rainy days, when you don't want to do it, when you don't want to get up, when you don't want to, it's like, I'm going to do this anyway because I love it that much. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you have that obligation to yourself to be able to show up on the days that really it's raining outside and you really just want to stay in and watch a movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like just retuning and finding the why all over again for why you're here or what you're doing, you know, is extremely important. Yeah. Because this year I was just like, I don't know why I'm still... And I had to retune some things. Instead of working 7 days a week, I was like all day thinking about it and infatuated about it. Yeah. And I will never go back and say to never do that. I feel like if you want to be great at something, you really do have to just sacrifice and you kind of got to be a little bit crazy. Like it is really that thing where it's just like you got to kind of be a little off and like. Because there was days where there was a stint where I was 7 days a week, 12 hours I was working on YouTube, trying to figure out, study, whatever. I just wanted the edge. Yeah. Like, how are these creators getting all these views? Like, how are they doing all of this? I got to figure this out. I got to do this. Or do I need to be a better actor? Do I need to learn how to write? Do I need to learn how to... I was like infatuated with it. Like, it was all about that. But then, like, as you get older, you realize, like, is this the most important thing? I think age is beautiful because you learn how to be more effective. Yeah. And I feel like as I get older, it's actually super exciting to me because it's like, it's not a lot of wasted energy anymore. Yes. Right? Where it's like when you're young, you're just all over the place and you're doing a lot. Yeah. Right? But then as you start to age and you say like, okay, this has to be actually very effective because I don't have that same cachet of energy, right? Or I don't have that same time because I have a different set of life circumstances, right? And it's like then the move becomes very important because like this is strategy, right? And you slow, even like great sportsmen, like you see like as they age, some people were able to maintain their dominance not because it was a physical, it was a mental thing, right? You look at some great athletes and it's like, as they age, they still were able to compete because they understood like, oh yeah, young guy, like you have all this explosiveness, but I got all these angles that you can't see on the court, right? I'm so in tune with my team that like, yeah, you have all the showboat and you got it all you want, but
I'm so in tune with my team. We're moving as one unit, which is always one unit is always going to be one person. You could have a talented person, but if I'm a solid unit, you're not going to beat me.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
It's powerful what you're saying, you know.
Yeah,
it is that.
yeah.
Where it's like, but I also think you're right in the sense of like you have to go through that grind in order to get to it.
Yeah, if you want greatness within your whatever success looks like for you.
You have to go, so you have to train beyond the edge of sanity to understand where it is for you. And then you can then learn how to pull yourself back.
Exactly.
And then work smarter. But until you go to that place of just like grinding it out day in and day out and getting burned out, like you can't recalibrate yet.
Yeah.
There is a certain point, like in training, like, just to go back to an example, like once you learn the basic foundation of technique and your technique is sound, then it's like, now you have to learn how to grind, right? Now you have to learn how to take yourself to absolute failure. And most people never know how to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's whether it's in training or in life. Once you learn the basic fundamentals and become competent, or you're not going to like hurt yourself or waste energy, then you got to take yourself to a place where you just max out. And you have to keep maxing until, because you can't really truly find where true failure is until you really start pushing over and over and over. And once you find that place, now you can take a step back and be like, okay, I know what that is. I know how to get there, and I know what it takes to get there. Now let's be a little bit more strategic with it. Okay. Maybe on this day, I'm gonna be moderate intensity. But on this day, on Thursday, we're gonna take it to the fucking limit. Right? We're gonna go to the limit. And then after Thursday, you take yourself to that limit. Next day, you pull yourself back.
Yeah.
Right? Then you pick another day. Maybe you got a day or two a week where you're taking yourself to the absolute limit. And the other days, you're at like a 6 or a 7. Right? But you're, like you were saying, you got to be strategic. You're strategic with your time. And that's where some of these like hackers, biohackers, time hackers come into play, which I think they do a disservice because everyone's just trying to, I want a 4-hour work week. I'm going to work 4 hours a week and I'm going to make $600,000 a year. It's like, nah, bro, you're not. All right.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
That should be pissing me off when I see people do that. I'm like,
that's bullshit.
It never happened.
And the guys that do that, it's like, yeah, they're selling you that now because they spend a lot of time to get to the place where then they now have a 4-hour work.
They can monetize
and they
it.
monetize it with that message, but it's like, that shit ain't true.
Right.
I be like, that should be bothering me. People be putting that, like, 6 hour this. It's like,
it's not,
no,
it doesn't
like,
work.
no. No, like, and if it does, it's like, it's not real because like, you have to learn how to manage that stress.
Yeah.
It's like, the other day we went to like a place of failure and I was like, I ain't been here before.
Yeah.
And it's not something where like it's not something that you can't fake yourself into that. Like if you do it, it's like you're gonna like, I was like, if I didn't have somebody to guide me through, you're gonna hurt yourself. And it's like, we watched that video one time when the guy was saying like these foundational steps and like the form is the most important part of the working out because like if you don't get that form locked in, you're not gonna ever get to like grind. And like you're not gonna get to these places where it's like the form is the most important part because like if that shit breaks down, you're
get injured.
You're gonna injure.
You get injured.
Right.
Well, I think the worst part too is like I'm not sure. I think it was you said, but the social media, I think Dan said it. Just like how social media and just media in general makes people think that they can acquire things so quickly.
Yeah.
It's all social media is just the highlights of everybody's life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're only consuming the highlights, then you in your brain you think, well, I can accomplish this in no time because this person is. It's like you don't understand the work these people are putting behind the scenes to really make. And that's why I wish more like celebrities or more content creators or whomever like show more day to day of what it takes. Because when you do see these behind the scenes and stuff like that, you're like captivated because you're just like,
some people are captivated.
Yeah.
A lot of reason why they don't show that shit, dude, is because it doesn't get views because nobody wants to see the grind. Nobody wants to see behind the curtain.
It's like
Nobody wants to see when you suck at acting.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to see those.
It's like Malik on his first day of acting.
Nobody's trying to see that.
It's like, how did you get there, right? And I don't know, but I think everybody sitting at this table, I am interested in that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
I
for me,
am
it's
too.
like I've always been the guy that's interested in like, oh, how did you really do that? Right? Like, how did you gain the weight? Like, what do you eat? Like, how did you really dial that in? It's like I've always been interested in stuff like that. I'm like, how did you become such a good actor?
But that's after you see them once they're good, though. Like when you see someone like bomb at Laughing Skull, or like you see someone like doing like crazy form at the gym who's not doing it right, it's like, I don't want to see that. Like if I know you're gonna be something good later on, let me tune in.
Yeah.
But while you suck, I'm not trying to see it. Like I've seen some actors who might go on to be great, and who I've seen actors who are great now. But when I saw them earlier, I was just like, this is hard for me to watch.
You gotta think.
I have some friends who literally, when we all first met each other, like it was like, I don't know, like, and then they're now, and they're, and it's like for me that's always been the thing of like this idea of like you're born with something. It's bullshit because like I've seen people, even myself, I've taken myself into account where it's like, if I hadn't met Dan, right, like my mindset was like, okay, I'll probably never gain any weight, right? I just need somebody to show me that I need somebody to turn the light on for me to be like, oh, actually, bro, you can't gain weight. You just don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like I've seen people who didn't have any quote unquote talent, but they had a will to like will to fail.
Yeah.
Will to be like, yo, I'm about to get up and do this set. I'm a bomb. I'm gonna come back tomorrow.
I love it.
And I learned to love that, to be like, yo, really all this is like, yo, you are gonna suck. You're gonna suck. That's part of learning, is like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm about to get up here and just go out and just learn. And you bomb.
Yeah.
And there's no part of the journey where there's no part of any of the journey where you don't fail.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to think about it like this. Okay, so we grow up, whatever we want to become was because of some type of inspiration. So you gain the inspiration of someone who's failed through their life. Then you're like, I want to do that. I see Malik acting. I want to be an actor. I get into class. I suck. And I fail at it. But it's the mentality of having the grit to keep going with it, to be able to be maybe as great as him. Well, I'll never essentially be as great as him. I will just be the greatest version of myself.
And I don't even think even that word, when I hear that word, I'm like, actually, that's just even the wrong word. It's like, it's not even that you're sucking. It's literally you don't have the tools yet. You're inexperienced. Right?
Yes,
And it's like, that's why it's like when people say this like 4 hour, and it's like, bro, to get to 4 hours, like, to be able to manage something, it takes years and years and years of discipline before you get to a place where it's like,
I can do this in 4 hours.
I can do this in 4 hours,
Yeah.
right? You start acting and you get your sides. When you first do that, you're like, it takes you forever to understand, like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then year after year after year, and you get more experience, you get more coaching, you start to understand it, you get more confident. Then something that I used to be able, when I first started like reading material, I would read and I'd be like, what the fuck? I don't know. I'd be like, what is going on here? I would literally look at something and be like, what? And it would take me hours to try to understand the story.
Yeah.
Now I can look at a story and be like, within 10 minutes, I'm understanding, like, oh, I'm seeing the arc, and I'm seeing all, and it's like, but that's years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
How do you choose like what you're going to suck at though at any given point in time? Because I'm sure we all suck at something still. Like I could go learn investment banking and like maybe figure out how to make $1 million pretty quick. But I'd suck at investment banking right now, and I don't want to do that. Like there's 1,000. I want to go like learn how to play the piano. I'm sure I suck at this very moment. And it would take me years, but it's like, all right, is now the time to like invest in learning the piano, or do I start off sucking at learning the piano, or do I suck at working out, or acting, or some other job? Like, how do you guys think about like, all right, I'm going to dedicate myself to sucking at this thing for this amount of time before I move on to something else that I might be interested in?
For me, it's like some of it is I'm a big gut guy. I follow my gut. Like literally everything, everywhere I've been in my life has just been like me following my intuition. No matter how big it was, like if it was big and people were like, oh man, you know, there's always that thing when you're doing something big where people are like, oh man, that's like, you think you can do that? Like there's always, it's like, I've never worried about that. I've always just been like, yo, I'm just gonna just keep trying. I'm gonna just keep going and keep going and keep going. And eventually I'll get good at it, right? Like I've never had a fear of sucking. I guess.
That's great.
I've just been so resilient towards failure. It's like, because in my head, maybe this is like a toxic trait where it's like, if you just give me enough at bats, like I could beat anybody. Like I honestly think that there's not one thing that if I put myself into that I could not become great at one day.
Great attitude to have.
I think
Like whatever it is, it does not matter what it is. Like in athletics, if I look back, if I would have just put the time in any athletics, I would have been just as good at that as I was at football, just as good at that as I was at wrestling, just as good as anything, right? And so I follow my gut. Where does my heart tug me? Where do I want to be? And then also, what are the things? Then I follow my heart. So my heart's tugging me in this direction. What are the things that orbit that thing that are gonna like help me get better at the thing that my heart is being tugged towards? And then so those will be the things that I decide that I'm gonna suck in because I need to get better at those things to get better at this thing that my heart desires.
We're similar in that. It's like my interests they just get more intense. It's not so much that it's like a lot of things that I do. Because if someone said like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, probably not like a lot of things that are going to be very diverse, but it's like, I'll take one idea and then there's a whole, right? So it's like, it becomes this whole meditation of like, how deep can I go in this one thing that all the other things that I do are adding to the conversation, and it's like, and then it's really exciting because you're looking, it's like, you start to peel layers off yourself that you didn't realize were there. It's powerful, bro. Like through weightlifting, I've had like a lot of emotional awakenings. Like literally, like through work, I'm like, me and Dan had a moment the other day. It was emotional, bro. I was literally crying, like understanding, this idea of like unknown and wanting to push past and go to failure. And it reflected things in my life where it's like, that's the phase that I'm in my life. Where it's like, I want some more challenges, right? That's why I want to do stand-up comedy, because I'm like, it's challenging in a way where it's like, you really are like, you're out there and it's just you. And you got to be able to feel it. That's why I want to record music, because it's like, but it's all the same conversation.
That's interesting. I like how you phrase that. Like, you probably weren't interested in stand-up comedy a year ago.
Yep.
But you were interested in acting.
Yep.
And because you stayed interested in acting, like now to improve and like change your acting, you became interested in stand-up comedy and fitness and other things.
And it's interesting because like we think like those conversations to me are the same. It's like physical fitness and acting are one and the same conversation. Because if you're not physically fit as an actor, there's no way that you can tell stories in a meaningful way. It's like you're just gonna be tired. It's like you just will not have the energy to tell real compelling stories. And it's like peeling the layers off of yourself, the insecurities, the fears, right? And it's like, it can be the same thing. You just get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it, Which I don't really like. Even when I was running, it was still the same meditation of like going to this place where it's like, I'm uncomfortable. And what am I going to discover as I'm more uncomfortable? Right? What do I discover? You take on more larger roles and it's uncomfortable. And you're like, I don't even know if I can do this, right? You take on business ventures. It's like, I actually don't know if I can. I'm just gonna dive into it. And it's like, and it seems to be a similar energetic of like, the more you peel the layers off yourself, the deeper you go into the things that you love. Yeah. And really, it's more authentic.
How did y'all? This somewhat related, but it's similar to like how we talked about our stories of how we got into dance class and physical fitness. How did you guys get into the performance arts? So we're all actors. I don't know if we mentioned that on the thing yet.
Yeah. Well, they know now.
Where they know now.
I mean, y'all know now.
I mean, you're an actor too. Like, it's just different medium, but
I'm
like
a content creator.
You have to act to create.
You are
just being myself.
You're a performance artist. You're a performance artist.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I know we're all actors. I have no idea how any of us got into it though.
For me, it was through music. I was a music artist, and then I would keep making music, and like I started at like 17, and I went hard for like 7 years, man. So 24, man, and I I struggle. I really struggle. But like being in the good thing about like my mom was like, she was like, you're going to be like a warrior. You're going to be like a.
Oh, she was super supportive.
Nah. Well, okay. Nah. We going to say it like that. It's more like, my son, you going to be this.
You gonna do it.
But it's like, yeah, she was more like that. She wasn't really supportive of what I wanted to do, but it was more like seeing her work ethic, really what it was, made me feel like I need to work just as hard to be able to accomplish things in my life. So I was doing music and I was sacrificing everything. I'd take all my checks, pay for studio time. I'd be always creating. And I was working on my craft, not knowing that I was working on my craft. Yeah. And I became a really good music artist. But by age 7 years in it, by age 24, I'm tired of struggling.
I want to get paid.
Bro, I'm just, I was so exhausted from music. So I decided to just take a break. Well, actually, I had a music manager. And he told me, like, if you want to sell music, you need to show your personality. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I'm like a goofy dude. Like, I think I'm pretty funny. Like, I never in my mind was like, I want to be a comedian, which I still don't consider myself a comedian. I always consider myself more a personality. Because really, it's just my personality when I, like, crack jokes and stuff. I'm always like this. So I was like...
you don't say.
So I was just like, I just want to just... be myself, and I think I'm kind of funny or whatever. So, and I was passionate about relationships at the time. So I had a girlfriend at the time. Drake wasn't one of my favorite artists. Yes, he was.
Drake is hard, bro.
So me and my girlfriend at the time, ex-girlfriend now, obviously, were making sketches, and it was fun. Yeah. And I noticed that it was like way easier to create that than to create music and music videos with so much money and not know the know-how. And YouTube was around at that time. And like by 25, I had met my like business partner now, and he was also in the sketch world, so he was teaching me a little bit of that. But I had came to the realization and figured out that in my life, I was like, I told myself I want to get paid to be myself. That was literally what I said to myself. And I was like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I just want to get paid to be myself. And that was like my main thing. So I really focused on doing YouTube, making parodies. And then I took like a good 4 or 5 years off. It was about 4 years off. Was in some serious relationships. They didn't work out. And then I think 30. That was
all the material.
Yeah, it's good material too. 30, 31. I kind of was, I started working at Delta, 27, got full-time flight attendant. I was happy, crying. I was like, I'm set for the rest of my life. I ain't got to worry about nothing. I'm good. I got a great job, benefits. Man, I'm traveling. There's hella girls on these flights. Man, I'm about to be on it. Bro, like 2-3 years in, bro. 2 years in. I was like, this is not it. Like, I feel so unfulfilled doing this. And then I was living in New York, came back here and started filming this sketch called with Joffrey, this character I created. And he's like really bougie. He's like Urkel and like who's the guy for Fresh Prince?
Jeffrey,
yeah.
Butler, yeah.
No. He's
Carlton.
He's a combination of both of those, and he's just very bougie and I started doing that, and it took off on Instagram. Yeah. Over a summer, I grew like 100,000 followers on Instagram, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep doing this shit. Yeah. And then I was like, I'm getting burnt out of doing Joffrey because people started recognizing me. And this is like the first time I ever got recognized was this little kid in the airport. And he's like, oh my gosh, Joffrey. And he like runs up to me. And I was just like, what the, huh? Like I was so foreign to me. I didn't know what was going on. And then, but it didn't make me feel good because I'm Jamal. Yeah. But he called me Joffrey, and everything was Joffrey. And I was like, I'm a character. I'm not me. So then I took a whole nother year revamping and realizing that I didn't really know a lot about myself. I didn't know me. Like I was always in relationships. But I never took the time to learn who Jamal was. And at that moment, me and my business partner, we was like, we got one of our friends. We went and saw him in LA, and his he was looking pretty down. Like he's definitely broke, didn't have no money, didn't have anything going on. And we went to see him maybe like 8 months later, and he was like, had money and everything. He was doing amazing, having a great old time. And we were like, bro, what's up? He's like, YouTube, man, like shooting sketches and stuff. And he sent us one of his checks, what he got in a month. It was like 10 grand. And at that moment, me and my business partner, we were like,
that comparison started. Yeah, right. I was
we were like, okay, we looked at each other. Yes, we looked locked in, really like that. We looked at each other. We was like, we're gonna do this until we make it. We don't care how long it's gonna take. Yeah. And 9 months, like I said, head down, just focus. Every day, every week, I would go shoot for his content. He would shoot my content. Yeah. At the time, I was using my girlfriend to sketch. He would find some girl. We would just keep going. And 9 months later, it just took off. And ever since then, I've been working on getting better, learning how I can be a better actor, learning how to be a better film producer, every element of film. Until now. Now I'm actually realizing that I do enjoy film. I learned that I don't enjoy acting as much. I have lost my love for creating music, but I still enjoy it. I don't want to do it like as a passion. I don't want to do it as a profession, but I would love to do it still as a passion. And I also learned that I know I was semi-joking with the content creator thing, but like I am a content creator. You know what I mean? Because it is my personality that I just like to create, you know. And that's it. Like I'm into like the films and stuff like that. But to be honest with y'all, I never watch TV, bro. I don't watch movies. Y'all can be like, oh, you remember that scene from so-and-so? And I'll be like, wait, that's a movie? Like I've never, bro, I don't watch any. I'm with myself and I think, and I was going to ask y'all this question and we can probably touch back on it later because I know you're kind of asking a general question for all of us. But I think next year, I've been so focused, and I think this can be a problem for most people. I've been so focused on the money aspect and trying to make a living and make X amount of dollars that I think I haven't really took a step to focus on how I can impact people and help create, like give them understanding to have a better life. You know what I mean? Like, what can I do for society? Granted, I know my content does help people, but it's like I could be doing more. So like lately I've been writing down like, what else can I do? Like, shoot, I could do a pod. Like when we talked about the pod, that conversation we had in the gym, like really was like, man, maybe I should make a podcast that essentially is like Fresh and Fit, but it's a different version. Because I don't believe what they say in Fresh and Fit is wrong. I feel like the how they deliver the message is wrong, right? Yeah. So I do believe a lot of what they're saying, but it's like it's the narrative y'all pushing and instead of men being inspired, they're being inspired with anger.
Right.
You know, when I listen to them, I get angry at women.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I feel it. I'm like, you're right. But at the same time, I'm like, man, fuck these girls. You know what I mean? But it's like, well, why don't we give our perspective? Like, I don't hate women. You know what I mean? But there are some things that I wish were a little different. You know, and I feel like there's no channel for that right now. So I was thinking like, okay, maybe I can do that next year. Maybe I can go live. Maybe I can donate. Like, how can I give back to society in a way to where it's just like, you know, like I'm really impacting people's lives, you know? And that's how I got into it. It's like,
let me say it again. We do not support Fresh and Fit podcast on this side. Like,
I'm not saying I support though. I'm not saying that. I'm just being... They do say things that are like that. It is factual. So a lot of
relate to,
But there's a framework in which they're putting out information like the masculine and the feminine, like relationship, like on that basic framework. They have a basis, right? But then they're coming from this place of almost like, who hurt you?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like this hurtness,
yes,
right? And then like the women that they're always giving examples of are like a very like niche group of women where it's like, yo, you're referencing or bringing women onto the show that are OnlyFans models, Instagram influencers, people who care about money, influence, status, like, yeah, of course, that's what those women are after. Exactly. And so, like, if you as a man are going after those women, like, you need to be aware of what that is. Yeah. Right? And so the better question isn't like stay away from these women or be aware of these women. It's what do you want from a woman?
Yeah.
Right? You know, what is it that you want from a woman? And then be selective in that process, right? Make a better decision when courting women, right? Like, also, stop trying to go after a woman just because she's super sexy and you think by having her, she's going to increase your status, right? Like, you're going after the woman that all the other men are going after and who loves that attention from other men. Bro, of course you're going to get burned. Yeah. That chick's not for you. Yeah. You know what I mean? She ain't for you. She's for herself, which is cool. There ain't nothing wrong with that, right?
Get it how you live it.
Give it right. There ain't nothing wrong with that, but just know what you're getting into. Yeah. Like, you want to say that you're a high value man, right? I'm a high value man. The majority of these motherfuckers that are saying that they're a high value man ain't shit. Them motherfuckers wouldn't get, you know what I mean?
I'd be laughing
gotta say it.
because people be like, you know, they be in the gym and shit, and you be like, motherfucker, you don't be in the gym. Like, what?
You got some dudes
You're in the gym. Shooting in the gym.
You're not in the gym. Like, we in this motherfucker. Where are you at?
You got these dudes talking on women.
Where are you?
Right. Hello, sir. You are nowhere to be found. And you got these dudes talking on women that have limited to no experience with women.
Yeah.
Like, actual real women wouldn't waste their time on you. Yeah. Because of the way that you're holding yourself. But because it goes back to social media, anybody with a microphone and a camera who can upload an MP4 file can act as long you just keep uploading and keep saying the same shit, people are going to listen to you.
Yeah. But I also think we live in a time, maybe it's always been this way, but like we play on people's traumas.
I was just emotions.
We play on the hardships that they have gone through, and that's really how you build the audience. And it's like you just start regurgitating the same kind of information because it's like you're playing on people's insecurities. And it's like, don't get me wrong, it's an effective tool. Like, if you're trying to build some shit, for sure, that is definitely going to get, because people are hurt. But if you can't take it seriously. It's like, I take that shit with a grain of salt. It's like, instantly you look at it, it's like, yo, you're like you said, it's like, yo, who hurt you? You know, you done created a whole platform because your feelings got hurt.
Yeah, it looks like that. You're right. It's rough. It's rough.
And then you look at that too, like, the majority of their audience are young men. And so it's like, yo,
y'all are training these young men.
Right. Well, you're training young men, but you're also like, yo, it's out of context. Like, yo, when you're a young dude, you're dealing with young chicks. Young chicks don't have their shit together, just like young dudes don't have their shit together. So of course your relationship was fucked up. Of course it didn't work out because she didn't have the emotional faculties to be in a relationship, just like you didn't. Also,
and you're not trying to get married when you're young. Right. You're living your life. It's like you're experimenting, trying to understand who you are. Right? It's like that's the point of youth, is to experiment. Is to ask questions, is to get your heart broken so you understand how to move through life. Which is really like, it's powerful. It's like, yo, like, you're giving out this information. It's like, they're kids.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm saying that if you're in your 20s, you're a kid. Yeah.
Like, you don't really start living till you're 30, bro. I don't feel like before 30, I didn't know what the hell
I was looking at it, man. You look back, you're like, what was I doing?
What was I doing?
Right?
I mean, I was living. I don't know what y'all was doing.
I was living too.
Like, I mean,
I had great experiences.
To your point about like preying on people's traumas, I don't even know if people are preying on people's traumas. I think it's people have pain in their life and they see somebody else like identify with and relate to that pain and provide a solution for that pain. It's like, you want to listen to that. Like, I was looking for someone to like help me work out and like get swole. And I saw you doing it. I was like, oh, I want to latch on to that. So like, it's a lot of young dudes who like get their feelings hurt, as we all have, get their pride hurt, get their ego hurt by women or by life. And then they see somebody who has a solution or can identify with like that experience. And they're like, oh, this is who I want to listen to because it sounds like they got their stuff together. And it's like, it's not just like the Fresh and Fit podcast. Like every piece, like every relationship book you've ever read is largely playing onto a lot of people's traumas.
But I think we're living in a time though that there used to be differentiation. There used to be a standard for who
who
is disseminating information. And now we live in a time where it's like, yo, I just listen to the people with the same problems as me, and that's all I listen to.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's like, that becomes dangerous, because if you're saying like young minds who don't have the wherewithal to understand like this is one opinion out of the many opinions that you're going to experience in life, now we're hyper focused with things like social media. You can just lock in to only what it is you want to hear.
Yeah.
Which is like not like
it locks in for you,
or locks in for you,
like,
you know. And it's like, and that can, and because I think you're right. It's like it is that where it's like you build a lot from those moments, and you can't help a lot of people in that way. But it's like it is concerning when it's like, but what qualifies you to disseminate this information?
Right.
You are playing around with people's emotional well-being, right? And we've seen how that has been exacerbated in our society, where it's like people are off their rocker.
Yeah.
And it's like you do have to be conscious of like, yo, before I say this, at least let me make the disclaimer. I am not a professional. I am not someone who has studied this, and I don't have any degrees. This is my personal
experience.
Experience. Like that lets me know instantly. Like I have respect for you. Like I'm not coming listening to you like you're some doctor or you're someone who is a professional in this industry. You're a guy with an opinion,
Right.
you know, which I think is necessary. It's like I'm not gonna put myself on a pedestal, you know, like I'm not gonna walk out now because I have gained some weight and have muscles and be like, no, I'm a trainer. That's what we're saying. That's what people do. Like, I did it, so like now I understand how. And it's like, no, you do not understand.
Yeah.
You don't have the wherewithal to understand. You have just maybe had a little bit of success in this short time that you've done something. You're not a professional.
Yeah.
Sit down.
It's so, even you talking about that, it's like, damn, that's like the double-edged. It's like
Double-edged sword.
because there were gatekeepers before he used to give this information is the same, which was good because at least everyone could hold one person accountable. Now it's like
The floodgates have opened.
which has allowed people like us to be able to create a voice for ourselves as well. So it's like you get the good and the bad because you got someone who's doing this, but it's like, well, in order for me to even be a gatekeeper, to be able to be a voice, I had to like go through these hoops, but now it's not as hard.
And I think you have the responsibility then to like, I'm not asking, what I'm saying is that you keep it real with people.
Yeah.
You say like, all you have to say is like, yo, I'm not a professional. That's keeping it real. Then we are aware that like, hey, I'm coming to this and this is something that I enjoy. I'm not really seeking it for any real means of healing. That's all I'm saying. I'm not closing nobody. I don't want to shut nobody down. But I'm like, I want, at least how I live my life is like, I want to talk to someone. It's like, if I'm seeking information, I want to know that you have the credentials for this information.
Right.
I don't even feel like most girls are like the girls
Right.
I feel like the majority.
I feel like I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I feel like the majority of women that I've had in my life, bro, like I have not had, there's only like been a brief period in time where I actually had like a good bit of money. Majority of the time I've been a broke ass motherfucker, bro. A broke ass motherfucker.
That's some real talk right there.
You know what I mean? I grew up poor as fuck. I had like a poor mindset. I had that poor dad mindset for the longest time because I didn't know any better. There's only a very brief window where I had some money. Majority of the women that I had in my life that were ride or die were when I was fucking broke, dude. They did not care about how much money I had, the nice fancy places I could take them, the things that I could buy. It was because of the way I treated them, the way that I made them feel, how attentive I was to them, and our relationship with each other. Right? And this is as somebody who can go and actually talk to a woman in real life rather than like chat. Like I can go out and with nobody. I can I can
different
go
world
out,
now.
right? Like unlike some of these people to go out and talk, I can go out into the real world. I don't even need to go out with a group of friends. I can go out, meet a complete stranger, and actually engage and hold a conversation. I come across as a creep or some fucking weirdo, and actually have an engaging conversation with a woman. Maybe it goes somewhere, maybe it doesn't, right? But a lot of times it usually went somewhere. And then what I
Swag.
It's a turtleneck, dog. It's a turtleneck that's doing it. That's how you get him. We get him with the turtleneck.
Subtle flex.
And what those all built to was like they all ended up going somewhere where like as if it went long enough, the relationship went long enough, there was they wanted to build with me. They wanted every woman I've ever been with has wanted to see me do well, has wanted to support me, has wanted to see me achieve my dreams, right? So like
I'm with you, bro.
you know what I mean? Like this thing about women are only like their status hoppers, right? You know what I mean? They're gold diggers. Like, do those women live? Of course they do. I'm not saying that they don't, but the majority of women, the majority of women that I've ever encountered, I haven't encountered these women that they're talking about. And maybe that's just because like I've vetted them out. Maybe I see that type of woman and I just like don't fuck with that type of woman, or like I just haven't come across it. And so the majority of women I see don't fit into that category. And so I think it's a disservice when that's all you bring on your show and that's all you preach about. These women are like this and these women are gonna do this unless you're this kind of man. And I'm like, yo, there is like this spectrum of humans, and like some fall within that part of the spectrum and most of them do not. And so like to be preaching that and to be broadcasting that, I just think is super irresponsible. Yeah. And I think with them, I think it is very intentional. You know what I mean? I think with a lot of these, because you see with these red pill guys, like they know that it's a thing. And so they're just all grifters, bro. We live in a grifter era. We live in a grifter era. Every one of those fucking red pill guys, they're all grifters, right? We've got workout grifters. We got political grifters. We got relationship grifters. Fucking grifters.
And that's why I want to make a podcast, because I think there's a lane.
I'm with you, bro, because like
there's a lane, bro.
I listen to shit, I be like, who is this?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like you, man. Like my whole life, I'll go out and have a good time, and I've met all kind of women, and it's interesting. It's like I feel like technology has altered the way we interact with each other.
Oh, it's 1,000%.
I grew up like I have never to this day, like I have never gone on a date via social apps. Never. Every girl that was literally, I went up to her and I talked to her. We met at an event. And it's like, so like now we have a world where it's like you don't even get the wonder and the awe of meeting people anymore.
Right.
You literally can see, like I was telling my girl this, I was like, yo, you can see people butt naked now before you even know them. But you have to think about that, because then we've lost everything that is sacred. We've lost things that mean anything. It's like I can see you literally with no clothes on before I ever have said a word to you. Just think about what that does to it. Takes away all the fun of meeting a person.
Yeah.
You can see their life. You can see what they do. And back in the day, I was like, yo, I'm literally meeting you in this moment.
You know, it's so funny because I'm very old school, or we call it old school now, but I'm that way too, where I prefer to meet somebody, but somebody came into my life and was like, well, this is more efficient. And once they said that to me, I was like, damn, he does make a good point. Like this is efficient, and this could weed out a lot of like crappy people. And that's why I took a chance I've only been on like 4 dates total my whole career via app or something like that. And none of them not even close to workout at all. Right. But like that's how it was explained to me.
But you can't, like, you don't get a chance. Like there's no wonder. There's no like being caught off guard or being in the moment with the person, because you know their name, right. You know where they live, you know what they do. Those are all questions when you see a person, you have to then, okay, I'm about to go talk to her. Oh, okay, and then it's like everything is new. But you get a nice little thing handed to you here. Okay, this is her name. This is what she does for a living. This is her on a trip when she's with her friends.
And you don't get to learn all of those.
You don't get to learn it.
And then like you don't actually get to experience the person, right? Because like what will happen is, right, you create a perception based on what is put out there. And maybe it's intentional on their part and maybe it's unintentional on their part what they put out there. But either way, based on what is put out there, now you've got this framework of who this person is, and you lose the wonder of discovery. Right? You lose the joy of like meeting an individual and like actually like learning who they are. Right? And maybe it don't work out. Maybe you're like, this fucking person, you know what I mean? I'm not calling her back. Right? But like maybe it's not, right? Maybe it's like that joy of meeting. And so it's like you go online and like you get this like, okay, this is who this, but you start seeing intimate moments of this person before like earning them. Right? That process of the human back and forth, the connection that takes place when two people meet each other and like actually dig each other.
Because you don't even know what, like, we don't even know what attraction is. Like, everything that we do now is based upon what I'm seeing. But I've had some of the most incredible experience, and it was energetic. It was like, I got caught off guard by a person, and it wasn't like, oh, this girl is fine. It was like, just the way you're sitting here holding yourself is captivating me. Or the way you're sitting there reading that book makes you more attractive than you might actually be. But if I'm looking at the phone, I'm like, yo, I'm only looking for like, and then I'm putting my story on the person. And I'm walking into the space. That's what human beings do. We give it meaning. This is my perception. This girl,
yo, we live to give everything.
We give everything meaning.
I'm an advocate for that, man.
And it's just like, there's something, and it's like you said, man, like there's something about like beauty is beyond the visual. There's like energy, right? It's like how you carry yourself as a woman. Like can take you from a 5 or a 6, right? If we're just talking purely visual, but the way she walks, the way she talks, the way she interacts with people, like can take her to like a whole nother level in your eyes, because the visual is only one sensory. Right? There we have we got 4 other senses, right? Or 5 other senses. Five.
4 other.
Yeah, he was right. Yeah, I was like, wait, what sense we got? I don't know about.
I got the 6th sense. I got the 6th sense.
And like, so you got all these other senses to actually like take in a person, and you may not, as soon as you see a person online, you're like, they did this, they did this, they did this, and you automatically put them in a category, and you're like, I'm gonna put them out here, and you never experience that person. And that goes beyond intimate relationships. Like, as friends, you may think this person is like based on something they say, something that they post and do. You're like, okay, this guy's a conservative, probably likes Trump. He's pro-gun, like this. Like, they're this. You can immediately start putting people in these categories. They're conservative, they're Republican. I'm not gonna like them. You just like throw them to the side. You won't even take the chance to get to know them.
I went to Utah. And I was on a pretty extensive hike, and we were in all these rural areas, right? And I'm black. And I'm, that is like a thing in my mind sometimes where it's like, I'm in these middle of nowhere people. It's
get out situation.
Right? And it's like, and I challenged myself to go into those environments, but I had one of the most incredible experiences. I met this guy, his name was Robin, and we were staying on his farm. We used an app called Hip Camp, where like you find places to like pitch your tent, basically. And from the outward expression, Robin is like Trump supporter, racist, from how he looked outwardly. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker. Like I'm already creating a story. I start talking with him, right? I'm trying to give him a chance. He's one of the most incredible people I ever met in my life. The connections that we had with each other it was like he was a long lost brother. We spent the whole night talking. And so for me, I really value that, because I feel like we come into so much space with our own story. It's like you're looking at these girls on the apps and you're like, oh, this is my wife. And like, you don't know her. You don't even know anything about her. And we can probably attest, like I worked for a company in New York. It was called House Casting. And it was like they would cast like commercials, and to the point where they casted like Vogue photo shoots, right? And so you would get these models that would come in. And you would see some girls who were literally like perfect. And then they would open their mouth and you'd be like, oh, hell no. Like literally you'd be like, oh, I wouldn't want to hang out with you at all.
Yeah.
Like you're so physically beautiful. They open their mouth and you're like, nope, don't have anything to say to you, right?
Yeah.
And then you would see other girls who would be equally as beautiful, but then they would have like this other thing going on and other curiosities, and they would be 10 times more beautiful because of the way in which they interacted with the world and treated people. So it's like, I'm all about that. I'm like, I think we have done ourselves a disservice and we start telling ourselves these narratives and like all women are this, and it's like all women are not malicious. Just like all men are not dogs, you know? And it's like, and you can meet a person and be in a low place in life and build with the person, right? It's like, I think that narrative for me is always like weird. It's like, I got to meet you and I'm on this and I'm on my purpose. And it's like, I don't know. Like I've met people and it's like, they helped me.
Yeah.
And I learned something from them that helped me get closer to the thing that became a purpose.
Dude, I always say, like, I am an accumulation. I'm an accumulation of all the women that I've ever like been in love with, that I've connected with. Like, I wouldn't be the man that I am if it wasn't for all those women. And from a low spot, from a high spot, like all of them brought something into my life that like helped me. Well, you know, helped me become who I am. And like you touched on this the other day, and kind of touched on this here about like in relationships, there's going to be a season for each person in the relationship, right? And there's going to be a time where you're on and it's your time to win, right? You're out in front and she's holding space for you to be the fucking champion that you are. And then it could be a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. It's going to be her time to be running in the front of the race. And it's going to be her time to be the champion. And it's going to be your job to hold space for her so she can win, you know? And like, we look at this as like me, right? I need to be the winner, this or that. And it's like, nah, man, like that ain't the case. Like life is seasons, right? You ain't always going to be up. You ain't always going to be up. Sometimes you're going to be down. And like what I've learned in life, because I've been up and I've been down and I've been fucking down and I've been up, you know? The thing that will help you through life is being able to weather the ups and downs, right? And that's not to say that the downs aren't low and the downs ain't hard, but like how quick can you get up from the downs, right? And you can do it on your own, but you can do it a lot better when you have someone with you. And when you have a down ass chick, bro, that can like help you, to give you a lending hand, to pull you up, that shit's invaluable, right? And it ain't about some chick who's just like trying to get status, right? This is like a chick who's with you that sees something in you, right? And this goes back to what we were talking about, guys failing. Like guys wanting, like, how do you handle sucking at something when you first start? Like, oh, I'm in the gym, I suck, I got hurt, this or that, and I just give up. Or I want to be an actor, and I go to a couple classes or like an audition, I don't hear nothing, and I don't do anything. Like, you got to find a guide, right? We're talking about relationships. Like, your woman's going to have your back, right? But also in life, like, you have to find guides that see the potential in you, right? With men, like, our culture used to have guides, right? We had like initiation periods in every culture going all the way back, where there was a wise older man that would help a youthful man go from adolescence to adulthood, right? He was the guide. He could see the potential in you and help you get there. And like, we need more of that in our society, right? And like, that's what people need to be using social media for, rather than like the quick cash grab, or I'm gonna play on your traumas, right? I'm gonna press these emotional buttons because I know I can, and I'm gonna get clicks for it. It's like, yo, why not create a platform where like you can actually be the person that sees potential in someone who's struggling and lift them up? Why not? Right? Like, that's your experience. Like, that's my experience as a trainer, right? Like, I see in people like, okay, there's potential if we do these things right. Okay, you're gonna suck. This is gonna suck and it's gonna hurt, right? Follow me, kid. I got you, right? And like, the same thing has been passed to me, right? In sports and in life. Like I've had people come into my life, both men and women, who have been able to be there, like have seen something in me and have like helped me, right? And maybe I've been super fortunate that the Creator has put those people in my life. Or maybe some of it is like those people find you, because I know one of the things that will happen when people hear that is like, those people I don't ever find those people. You're lucky, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I am lucky. Or maybe you have to put yourself in the position for people to find you, to help you. It's like the analogy, if you sit on the side of the road with like your thumb out and your car's broke down, nobody stops. But if you start pushing your car, people are going to pull off and help you push your car. So like people want to help people that are already helping themselves.
That's true.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. There's a lot that I'm processing.
Yeah, there's the social media conversation. There's the male mentorship and advice conversation. There's the relationship conversation. And it's like any three of those, we could probably go for like 2 hours just in that thing. And then like, man, I had so many thoughts.
I feel like listening to what you're saying is like, we've lost that like sacred ritual aspect of our existence. You know, like we don't have passage of rights anymore. You know, we're like, you're not a man just because you turn a certain age. You have to go through a process to understand the responsibility of being a man. You know, we don't have like older people guiding younger people through relationships. We have now older people wanting to be like young people. Right. It's like weird. Like you turn the TV on, like the model of like an older woman is like trying to be like a young woman. Trying to have like multiple, and it's like
hold on to their youth.
Holding on to things that you could never ever in your life hold on to. Right?
Yeah.
And it's powerful to hear you say it, because like the quality of your life is your willingness to embrace the truth of life. You know,
That's power, man.
To say like aging is a beautiful process. I don't want to try to alter that. I want to have activities that are going to help me maintain and age gracefully. Yeah. Right. These like peaks and valleys in life. It's like we have to teach people how to weather it. It's like I can like go off on this because like I think we live in a society where like you look and you say, what do people do? They swipe. They throw away. It's like, you don't fit what I want. Swipe. But when you really boil that down, it's like, that's not how you grow.
Bro, oh my God. Lately, and it's so funny, lately I've been really enjoying getting older. Like, it's so funny. Like, I'm learning myself a lot more, like more and more, but it's like, dude, just not holding on to, like you were saying, like I've never been much of someone who holds on to things, but I think just releasing all the things that I used to be, and even the mindset of like, damn, I used to be better at basketball, but it's like, but I am who I am now. You know what I mean? Even like getting older, I mean, we work out and I feel like in great shape, and I feel like I'm gonna be in great shape for the next 30 years. Yeah, like I don't plan on diminishing anytime soon. Yeah. But like just getting older, like lately I've been enjoying it. Just how I even approach life. So I think like it's important to just like understand like you have everyone has their time. Yeah. Everybody gonna have their time. But it's not gonna be forever. You know, Kobe had his stint. MJ had his 6 years, 7 years, whatever, whether he's the greatest or not. But like nothing lasts forever. You can leave as much as a legacy as you want to, but like I know there's gonna be a day where I'm just gonna enjoy my life and not do social media as much. Yeah. But I had my little 4 or 5 years where I was out here doing it. Yeah. You know, but
and I think that's the importance of like you share. You say like, I don't own this. My job is to create a vision, right? But then ultimately, and this is why I love teaching and I love coaching, because ultimately it's like you take information and you say, hey man, here's this book, and you're gonna take it even further. Like, hey, take it, go, take it to another plateau, right? And we look at people, and it's like that has to transpire in order for the journey to continue. We can't hoard it all for ourselves. We have to be like, I have this information. The information, yes, it serves me in this moment, but also I'm giving it to you. So when you come up, you have less headaches, right? Yeah. You have less stress. You have less problems at the bare minimum. What you do it is up to you, right? But it's like, now that you've been given this awareness, you can make better decisions.
Well, I think all these things actually tie into each other, right? From the relationship thing to the male mentorship group or the male group that keep each other accountable. I think all those things actually tie in because like men hold other men accountable. Like that's what we do, right? Like that's why there is like this thing, like we conduct ourselves in a certain way and we're in a squad. So then when other people start acting like other men aren't holding up to what it is to be a man, you call that motherfucker out, right? You know what I mean? That's like the true answer to toxic masculinity, which really like there is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's immature masculinity, which is what's toxic, right? We have these like grown men still acting like boys, right? Like that's what is the toxic trait. But like the answer to that is actually masculinity, real masculinity, right? It's like men calling other men out on your bullshit, right? Like on a guy who's 35, 40 years old and still talking about, yo, man, I got this badass Colombian chick.
You're 35,
right,
man.
It's like, okay, that's great.
These niggas be 52 at the club still, like, bro, you 52, right?
Yeah, like,
you know
bro.
what I mean? And then like, or like how a guy conducts himself in business, right? Like maybe he's really good at business, but he treats people like shit. I was like, yo, man, why are you talking to him like that? You know what I mean? Or like, why are you talking to that guy like that? What do you know, like, why are you like, is he not like a human? Like, why are you treating him less than? Like, even if the person is wrong, there's a way to like conduct yourself and like calling a person out. There's just so many, and like I feel like we're lacking that, right? Nobody's trying to call people out. No one's trying to hold people accountable. We're just trying to play on their traumas. We want to say what they want to hear. They're grifters. Back to the fucking grifters, bro. Right? We just want to, like, think about a political grifter, right? Like a fucking Tommy Lauren, for instance. She's the only one I could think off the top of my head. But literally all you have to say, like whether you're on the right or the left, this goes for both sides. But like you can literally have 0 followers, but if you get like a decent camera and a setup and you start talking about pro-life, gun rights, First and Second Amendment, you start hitting these talking points, you just do that every single day, people are like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and you actually have no substance and you bring nothing of quality into the world, right? But if you start building a community, right, through whatever said thing it is that you're competent at, right, and then you start bringing people together and you help people, you lift them up, you make them strong where they're weak, you call them out when they're wrong, right, and then you hold yourself to that same standard as well. Like now we start fixing societal problems, right? It's like you want to change the world, you change yourself. Right? Level 1 mastery is mastery of oneself. You can't get the level 2 mastery, which is mastery of those around you, until you master yourself.
Well, I think that's kind of happening in parallel though. Like you can't master yourself outside of a community. And I think the one string that I think ties like all these topics together is like living in a time or living in a context where like community is more difficult to build substantively and genuinely, because maybe in our generation we gave up on certain modes of community. Like we don't all live in small towns anymore. Most folks don't go to like a religious community as much as they used to. I'm trying to think of other communities that people used to participate in back in the day. It was like church, work, and that was it. Whereas now, like your community is all online. Technically, like that's how people form community now. And sometimes like I have beef with like a lot of like how social media works, but like coming from like my dad's a pastor, so I came from like a community where folks were always talking about how these kids today, they won't come to church and they won't do this or this. And like, I'd be sitting there like, okay, so what? Like that's the world. Get with it. Like kids aren't going to change because you don't like it. So like, instead of like telling kids like your way of living sucks, why don't you just figure out how to modify? Like you either like remove yourself from the world completely. So tell everybody like, get off social media right now, delete your Instagram, yada, yada, yada. Or like, all right, social media exists. How do we, one, create community with each other? And how do we help these young dudes coming up figure out how to create these circles of accountability, growth, and responsibility going forward? Because like, social media not going nowhere, internet not going nowhere.
Right.
So it's like, all right, well, if I'm to one of your earlier points about like impact, like how do we create this growth in this community within ourselves and then model that for somebody else?
I think we're doing it.
Yeah, I think
that's
exactly what we're doing right now.
Exactly. I mean, us working out has turned into a whole thing where you say, oh, and more people come and more people grow. And it's like, even in my studio, like that has been a thing where it's like, you open the doors and it's one person and then it's two people and then it starts to be this thing that is conscious and moving and breathing that affects even people outside of the people that are coming into the space, you know? So like, I think we are doing it, but we're also recognizing like some of the things that we're experiencing, you know?
So to your point about us lacking calling people out and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily feel like it's so easy to do it in today's day as it used to be.
You'll lose your whole platform.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like the truth is like what you're saying is actually true. It's like the mechanism to call people out today is like if you call a person out, even if you call them out with honor and dignity, people were so up in arms about it, and you can literally lose your means of making a living.
Yeah. Do you mean like call out your homeboy, like somebody you actually know, or like calling somebody out?
Because from my experience, because I'm always that guy in my group.
Yeah.
I'm like, even my roommate the other day, we're shooting his movie or feature that he wrote next year or something like that. And one of the girls, she kind of gained some weight, but it's my business partner's. It's my business partner. Don't let this part of the clip go out. It's my business partner's girlfriend. So he came to me and was like, "Hey man, I need you to do your thing where you like be real and like let her know she need to slip down a little bit." And I'm like, bro, I don't know if I'm trying to go that route, but like,
I ain't got no skin in the game.
I was like, I ain't know if I'm going down that route, my boy. That route, my boy, I don't know if I'm going down that route.
She fucking around like a YouTube video. Jamal the creator said this to me yesterday.
But even in saying that,
Jamal
it's like,
the creator, fat shame.
ban him now. I'm just known to be the guy to just be honest and truthful, and a lot of my friends appreciate it in the end. But I always get back, like in the beginning when I first say it, I always get the
Of course,
the resistance, and it's never pleasant, you know, until they have self-realization a year later or whenever they have it. But I mean, it's true for like social media too. Like it's hard to call out people when you're at risk of losing your platform.
And it doesn't even have to, like, we're in a time where like it doesn't even have to be factual.
Yeah.
Like someone can just say like this thing happened, and the response to that, even if it's a joke, can be like, until it comes out, like people would just throw you under the bus.
Yeah.
We were talking about that where it's like the NFL player and he like didn't do anything. You were telling me that story, and he was at a club and like he just calmed the situation down, but the story that was reported was completely different, and he like went through a whole experience, but he didn't even do anything.
it was I think this was not this off season, but this off season before with Aaron Donald at like a nightclub.
Yeah.
They were like, the club was shut down, and they were outside waiting to get a ride, and a fight broke out next to him, and I believe he restrained, just pulled it apart. And because he pulled it apart, the headline hit like Aaron Donald in a fight at a nightclub, and it was like this big thing. Like 2 days later, it was like that's not true. It was just like he like broke up the fight. It
Yeah.
actually had nothing to do with the fight. But the headline, like when a headline hits and the news runs with it, like nobody ever looks at the retraction.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody ever looks at the retraction. They just look at what was claimed, and then it's like, oh, and then someone's just like, they see it in passing, and then they're like, oh yeah, you were that guy that got into a fight in the nightclub.
Yeah.
Or you were that guy that said that like, you know, that racist thing, or you were that guy that said that like insensitive thing, right? And it's like, no, that's not actually.
That's not what
that actually
happened.
got like the full story came out. That's actually out of context.
Yeah.
Context.
But like nobody cares that it's out of context. It's like the guy who gets accused of rape and then turns out that it wasn't rape.
Yeah.
Right. And like the whole thing like never actually happened, and it gets found out in court or whatever process. But the headline is like now
Headline still stands.
Right.
No one says, "Oh, I'm
Nobody
sorry."
goes back and
I'm
it's
sorry
just-
that actually there's no head.
Yeah.
That actually didn't happen. Everybody,
Right.
it's just like, yeah, you did it.
Yeah. And it's just.
And then that association is like tagged with that person. But I think with the like what I was talking about with calling people out, why does that keep happening? Overheating.
Really? I figured so. You know, man. So,
Okay. That's cool. We'll wait
thing
for it to
hot.
turn on. Yeah, fuck it, turn it back on.
my boy about to hit us with the words. My boy.
I'm gonna save them. There they go. So the camera's back on. In case
Okay.
people were listening to just the audio, we were having an overheating camera issue.
Yeah.
Real-time problem solving. What I was saying though about isn't so much calling people out online, which I think we need to do, find a way to do that if it's applicable, but like calling people out in your real life
Well, that-
in the way that
yeah.
they're behaving. And like, so this is the thing about getting older and becoming more experienced is when I was younger, I used to be like, I've always been that guy that's called out like my friend groups or on the team. Like I was the guy on the team. I've always been a team captain on every team I've been on, but I was always the guy that held people accountable, right? And like, if you missed a workout, if you were like dogging it at practice and I caught you, like, I'm gonna call you out. One of two things. One, I want to win, right? And so I can't have any slackers on the team. But two, then it forces me to hold myself to another level of accountability, because if you're the guy calling everyone out and your
Better be
shit ain't
living it.
right, you better be living it. But
living it.
but to the second point of that is when I was younger, I kind of like everything was a nail and I was the hammer. But as I got older and started learning how to communicate with people better, some people, maybe you do have to hit over the head with some hard truth, but other people, maybe you pull them to the side away from everybody, and like there's a more sensitive or softer way to bring the truth to that person, right? And maybe it's going to have to be over a series of times of communication, and maybe they're not going to be, but like there's different ways to bring that to a person other than just being like blunt force trauma. And so part of that comes with experience. Also, some of that comes down to your relationship with that person. Because like no one cares what you know until they know how much you care. And so like if you don't build that bond with that person for them to understand that you actually are coming from a place of love instead of like hate, right? Like they're not going to receive the information.
See, and I had to learn that this past year too, like how to, and I learned that through therapy. Like the very first thing I learned in therapy was like, it's okay. Like that was the first thing I learned. Like you're going through all of this, you're flustered and upset, but it's okay. Like what's going to happen because you're dealing with all of this, just understand that. So now even when I do approach someone and have that conversation, normally their response is always like get angry immediately or escalate immediately. Yeah. And then in response, I will always say, no, it's not about that. No, I still love you. Like, this is not hate. You diffuse it, but I'm just letting you know because I care, or letting you know because, X, Y, and Z. And I've noticed that that's been but no, I was referring also to real life as well.
Yeah.
Like when I hold people accountable in real life, they always, because of their insecurities and they're afraid to look at themselves in the mirror. When you bring up something, they tend to like snap because it's something that they know, either they know or it's like because when you hold someone accountable, you're forcing them to look themselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
And at that moment, it's like, you don't know how they're going to react to that.
And this is, so to that also, some people aren't ready.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people just aren't ready to like go to the next level. And so like, or to like, to actually address the thing that is being brought up. And maybe you're not the messenger.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not the messenger to like give them that.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes it's like, okay, like you can only meet people as far as they've met themselves.
Yeah.
And some people have met themselves farther in certain sectors than other sectors.
Yeah.
But to Pierre's point, like with online and meeting people in this new space, like what does that look like in terms of building a community online? What does that look like holding people accountable online? And like, when in doubt, it's always got to be like you yourself, right? You just got to live it. You just got to live it, and the people that are looking for it will come to you. And so then, like, I think about this all the time in terms of like content. Like, what kind of content do I really want to put out there? I've been putting out a lot of like training content because like I'm pushing, like my business is training, right? But like, what can I push beyond that that's actually like beneficial, right? Like, how can I make an impact on people? Because one of the things you start figuring out once you start getting older is that it's not just about how much I can take from life, right? Like the real joy from life comes when it's like, how much can I give?
Yes.
Right. And because like, and it's a double-edged sword because giving actually is receiving, right? The more you give, the fuller your cup becomes. We think like, oh, I got to pour, but it's actually empty because then it refills. Empty, refill. Empty, refill. And so what is it that you love to do and that you're competent at? And you don't even have to be an expert, right? You don't have to be the best in the world at something to be able to give to others. Sometimes it's time. Sometimes it's just a listening ear. Sometimes it's helping others. Whatever that is, like figure out what that is so that you could give to people.
And someone said it earlier too, like about, I feel like the key to life is just self. But someone said that was level 1 or something. I think that is you as well. But I think like your goal in life should be just to learn who you are to the fullest potential, because when you're fulfilled, you tend to just help other people.
Yeah.
You know, if everyone decided to just focus on themselves, try to release their traumas, and just imagine how much different this world would be if people were in a sense where they understood how to deal with people, how to talk to people, how to just be.
Right.
Knowing when it's time to spend time by yourself, knowing when it's time to be around family. You know, like if we all focused on ourselves, because that's what we don't do. We go through things and then we push it off because it's too hard. You know, we don't want to deal with it because we don't like how we felt when we went through that. And then later on, it's communication is always like, if you're angry, whether you speak about it or not, it's going to come out in some type of form or way. It's not necessarily, you don't have to vocalize it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be expressed.
I mean, everybody knows an angry person when they see them.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And it's not them actually being angry. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that person got something inside.
You could
that they
tell,
haven't
like
dealt
something
with yet.
is, yeah. And then also, this is actually something I learned the other day. I'm just going to say it just because I just feel like it was really good to like for changing your mindset around things. Like someone said, in order to change your mindset, you have to change your behavior. That's how you communicate to your brain. You can't talk to your brain and your brain all of a sudden decides that it's going to do X, Y, Z. Like if you want real change, and especially in your subconscious mind, it's a behavioral thing.
Yeah.
That's why I say if you have anxiety, if you lean into your anxiety, your brain will start to adjust and think that what you're doing is normal. Right. And you no longer will have anxiety for that.
I mean, it makes sense because you are your habits.
Yeah.
Right. And so like what you habitually do is like who you end up becoming. So like to get to know yourself, if you're always on your phone, you're always like, you can't go to dinner alone. You're always with friends. You're always with people, or you're always distracted by your phone, a podcast, music, whatever it is. Like when do you actually take time and just like have nothing on and just be left alone to your thoughts.
And sitting in silence is something a lot of people can't do.
Right.
They cannot just sit there with their thoughts, and that's scary to even think about.
I don't know. So like the self-knowledge thing like is a double-edged sword too, because I feel like we already live in a society where you're told to like focus on yourself all the time. And I think there are areas where that's a detriment. Like especially for me in acting, like I'm mainly focused on like how I see myself as an actor. But like there were definitely points in time where like folks in class were like, yo, I see you growing. Like where you were 3 months ago is way different than where you are now. And I just like, it meant nothing to me. It's like my opinion, my acting matters. And I wasn't honoring like, oh, these people are telling me something that might be true. I need to honor these people who like care about me and their opinion of me in this moment and like give a full accounting of like where I have grown. Or like even at the gym where I'm like, I don't see any results. I don't feel like any swoller. But then like folks are telling me like, oh no, you look different. It's like, like how it's the knowledge of self has to like come almost in parallel with like letting other people know you in a vulnerable way at the same time. Like, I feel like in the past 5 years or so, I keep seeing like people like take like these Enneagram tests and like what's the other one, the Myers-Briggs, to like figure out their INTJ or whether they're Enneagram 8, yada yada. And that's dope. Like I think that's super helpful. But I remember like the thing that was most eye-opening for me in grad school, we took this this leadership assessment where it was like you had to send out an assessment to 12 other people who you had led at some other point, and they had to assess you. And like I got the results back, and it was like conflict avoidant. And I was like, dang, I never would have said that about myself. But when I hear it from someone else, it's like, oh, you're right. I do be doing that.
Yeah.
So it's like I struggle like knowing when to apply or how to apply the knowledge of self principle of like, all right, I need to be able to spend time with myself alone and give an honest accounting of like where I'm messing up and where I need to improve and where I'm doing great. And then also like being vulnerable enough with people who I'll respect Jamal, Dan, Malik's opinion about where I need to grow in the gym, or my acting friend's opinion of where I need to grow acting wise, or my friends at church where I need to grow spiritually, or girlfriends of where I need to grow in a relationship. And it's like, how do I filter out the moments where I'm BSing myself, and then also know like when other people are BSing me, and like find the happy tension, because I don't believe in balance. I think there's only tension in life. Like where do I find the tension of like giving the appropriate honor and respect to other people's perspectives and opinions, and then also like being I don't know, settled or content or healthily confident in what I think I know of myself.
Well, I always think for especially opinions,
That was powerful, man.
the way I know that how I gauge, if multiple, for me, that's how I gauge if multiple different people recognize something different about me that I don't recognize about myself, that's when I start to allow that opinion to come in and be able to make me consider, okay, well, maybe I am, or having the trust within those people.
Yeah.
You know what
So
I mean?
are those the right people to tell you about that thing?
Well, I think that's like the dance of life, right? The dance of life is like having enough knowledge of self, but then also being open enough to take critical feedback from those around you, right? And because it's like the people around you are going to call you out on your behavior. They're going to give you clues and signs. Some might be more direct, might be less direct, but like being open enough to receive those things, right? Like, oh, maybe they're right. Like, maybe I do just get louder in an argument rather than, like, you know what I mean?
Awareness of,
right? Maybe I just get louder, right? And getting louder doesn't make me right. Oh, maybe I do avoid conflict. Maybe I could actually like take a second before I speak, right? And listen to what is being said to me, right? But some of that comes from
Are they insecure about something? Or?
Right. Well, some of that is like, are these trusted people, right? Like, are these people that actually have my best interest in mind? And so that comes down to the people that you have around you. And then knowing yourself enough to be like, oh, maybe they're right. And then exploring it. Maybe they're wrong. You know, maybe they're bullshit. Right. But like you have to trust yourself enough to know, like, oh, okay, let me at least explore. Maybe they're right.
Yeah.
Let me see it. I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe they do have a point.
Yeah.
Maybe they do have a point. And then like, okay, how can I work on that? And then other times it's like, oh no, they're just a hating ass.
Yeah. Sometimes you just know because you like, I've been doing the work. I know I'm not this person.
Because sometimes it's just like, oh, I triggered something in that person.
Yeah.
I remind them of somebody that like they don't like, or I remind them of somebody that mistreated them when they were younger, right? And like whatever they're actually putting on me has nothing to do with me, it's them. Yeah. Right. And then so it's, it's hard, it's not easy. It's like figuring out that balance. Because I've approached a lot, I've dealt with a lot of situations where I've, just my aura, right, has made people feel a certain kind of way. Like a lot of in competitive atmospheres, like people like their chest gets all puffed up around me sometimes. And like there's like all this like immediately they're aggressive. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, well, hold on. You know what I mean? So I'm like, understanding. When I was younger, I didn't understand that. I was like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? When you're young, you're like, dude, I'm fucking 12, right? Like, you know what I mean? I'm fucking 12. You know what I mean?
Like 6'10" at 12
right,
years
yeah,
old.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, because I was big as shit. So it's like, understand, like, what is happening here? Like,
that's hilarious.
I didn't have the faculties yet to deal with that.
The awareness.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but as I got older, I was like, oh, that actually isn't information.
You never had to look at somebody like this before.
Dunking on them. Why are you mad to me?
But we've all dealt with that in some way, right? Like mine is like my size and my presence, right? And that can invoke a certain thing out of people, right? But you have whatever that is, whatever that size, my size, right, is that thing for me. You have whatever that thing is for you that invokes some sort of like defensiveness.
I'm too good looking for most people as well.
Right, you're just
they're like, oh no.
Some people, you know what I mean? Like that thing can make people feel, and so then now it's deciphering that. Yeah. And that isn't easy either. Yeah. But that comes back to knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I've worked on most in my 30s is like being okay with just like being wrong.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely like, and still now a little bit where like, I'll figure out I was wrong about something, and it'll feel like devastating. Like, oh, I'm like less of a human being because I was just wrong about that for so long, or like I feel so stupid, or like, and then now it's like, oh yeah, I was wrong, and then you move on to it. I was like, okay, I was just wrong. I had the wrong information, or I did that wrong, or I reacted to that person wrong, or I didn't train myself correctly to deal with that situation correctly, and you gotta like, oh well, now just change it up.
I think one of the powerful things in life that happens is when you start realizing that people actually aren't thinking about you. You know what I mean? Like people don't spend much time thinking about anything other than themselves and their problems.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we worry about what people think all the time. Like, oh man, I was wrong. You beat yourself up over it. Right? And then it like turns out like, people don't actually care or even remember that thing, right? And then like the next thing to remember too is like, you're going to die one day. Those people are going to die. Yeah. And like you're going to let other people's opinions keep you from fully expressing yourself, fully like exploring and seeking out. And like, because, oh man, I might be wrong. Or, oh, I might look stupid. Or, oh, this, or whatever that weird little thing that we all have that like keeps us like, we're gonna, because this is one of the things that I've always made these, like to go back to how do I follow my heart and like be willing to be like, look stupid by failing. I don't know why this was, but at a young age, like I had some older people around me where I could recognize like regret in their eyes. And so like when talking to them, I could see it. And I was fortunate enough that they weren't trying to like tear me down. They were giving me advice to go after it. But like, I recognized that advice was actually coming from a place of like what they would tell themselves if they were back in that position. And so that really stemmed this powerful meditation of when death comes for me, do I want to go kicking or screaming, or do I want to light a cigarette, blow that motherfucker out, and just kick my feet up and be like, let's ride?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because when she comes, bro, she's coming. And so, like, I can't control when she comes, but I can control what I do in that time.
I always love it. I think it's Peter Pan. Death is the last great adventure.
Yeah.
That for me always was like, oh yeah.
That hook.
I'm not,
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm not, if you've really lived, there's nothing to be afraid of.
And then death also gives us our life meaning.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't have any meaning unless we know we're leaving this earth one day. So I think it's actually funny you said, because I'll make jokes about me like, oh, if I died tomorrow, I'd be all right. You know, and people be like, what? Da, da, da. A lot of people do that. And I'm just like, I don't fear death because I know it's coming. I don't know when, but if it came, like, I feel like I've lived a life where I'm proud of, you know, because I've experienced so much. And I think it's important that we all, like, just to the fullest, like every day, just go hard at whatever. It ain't got to be like a career. If you want to sleep today, go hard at it.
Yo, get them 10 hours.
Hey, go get whatever you need. Get them 10 hours. Go hard at it. If you trying to relax.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
You know what I mean? If you want to roll today's
Yeah,
sleep right into tomorrow's sleep.
Yes, do all
Matter
of
of
it.
fact, don't get up.
Yeah, stay in bed. But nah,
Order some Dominoes.
it's like, it is what it is, man. Life is beautiful, man. We all have so many different blessings that I do have a question for y'all. Do you feel like it's hard to do the right thing and to be your true self? Because I feel like I find a lot of time it's really hard for me, especially around people.
Yeah.
Yes, I find that to be. I was talking to a friend about this last night, and it's like, and he brought up this magnificent point of a lot of times we do things, and it hit me hard. I was like, whoa, I never looked at it that way. Like, a lot of times we betray ourselves, and we're not actively doing it, but we're not following our true path because we feel as if someone won't love us, or we feel as if someone will disappoint someone. And when I dialed that in, I was like, yo, there's moments in my life where for sure I was just trying to make people
Make peace.
I was like, oh man, I love you, mom. Like, I don't want to fucking do this shit, but I'm gonna do it because like it means something to you.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is, I think it's incredibly hard.
Yeah.
I think it's like, and when people say like, oh, just be true to you, and it's like, oh, that's like, yes, that's a practice.
Yeah.
Because like that is like in relationship to other people.
Yeah.
And we are connected to other people, and no matter what we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and it's not just like to give something up, you give something up.
Yeah.
You know, to do something different, it's like you lose something.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's rough, bro. Like
It's
I haven't lived out 100%.
yeah.
At all. I'll be super real with you, bro. There's some things when I look back, it's like I was not doing that for me.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
I always think I had this saying that I like run through my head. How you do anything is how you do everything. And so I always tried to practice that. Because there was a time in my life where I was falling short, right? Big time high school recruit, right? Like top, ESPN top 15 out of high school, like all this like praise and tout and hype around what I was going to do. And then 3 years into college, I was still riding the pine, and it was like, what is happening? Right? Like, what is actually happening here? If I'm as good as I say I am, if I'm working as hard as I am, why am I not getting the result that I want? And so then it forced me to really kind of start like taking some hard accountability, some introspection. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I'm training really hard in the gym and I'm training really hard on the field. What am I doing in the classroom? What am I doing socially? How am I doing sleep-wise? Like, how am I conducting myself in those realms? And if I was honest with myself, which I was, ended up being like, yo, I'm falling short here, here, and here. If I was a coach, I would not play me either because I cannot trust me. I cannot trust, okay, this guy's good. Let me give him more reps. Let me put more time and energy into him to make him a starter. But can I trust him on the outside of here? Is he going to get in trouble? Is he going to fail drug tests? Is he going to like fail his classes? Can I trust this dude? When I look back at my time at Pitt, I wouldn't have played me either, bro. I wouldn't have started me either. I had to transfer schools, go to another school, and then fucking fail a semester and become ineligible and go part-time to get my grades back up, to get back on a scholarship, to be like, yo, what the fuck am I doing here? Just falling short. So then like that moment in my life was kind of a moment where it was like, yo, I'm either people pleasing because I'm trying to go out and like just be like the life of the party and make people happy. I'm trying to be this other thing. I'm trying to prove something to myself by going out and drinking all the time, trying to be this wild man at the party that was like life of the party. Like all these things I was doing, but like, yo, it's taken, like, I'm not doing the right thing for like what is true to me, right? Which is my team, this obligation, this thing that I gave to the team. To my dreams and desires. So it's like, yo, I wasn't doing the right things. I wasn't doing the things that I was supposed to be doing. And so from like that, I kind of had this like spark in the dark moment where it was like, yo, I don't know shit, right? And now I've realized I don't know shit. And like, I'm shooting myself in the foot. Now I need to start taking like extreme accountability. And so like for me, it was really ever since that moment where it was like, and not that I'm like still perfect, like there's still times where like I'm all auto correcting where I'm like, yo, I could have done better today at this, or I could have done better at that. Right. And I'm always working towards that. But like, it's not easy, man. It's like a daily practice. Like, yo, did I work out as hard as I could today? Did I eat all the things I was supposed to eat today? How did I handle stressful situations today, right? Did I read the script as many times as I could have or should have today? Did I do the research that I should have on this like audition? Did I wait till like the last day to do this fucking commercial? And I'm getting it in like 6 hours before it's due, right? Like those things still happen. I try to make them less. I try to like mitigate that and work towards that. Try to hold myself accountable. Some of that like becomes helpful when I keep guys like yourself around me, right? Women in my life, just myself, my daily practice as well. So like, it is hard. It's just real hard.
Yeah.
That shit is
What about
hard,
you,
bro.
Pierre? You feel like it's hard just being you, or just doing, I guess, an example, like I want to, like, even like having a relationship or something like that, like, oh, I just want you to be yourself. It's just like, do you really want me to be myself? Or
I think for me, doing the right thing is always easy if I'm convinced of what the right thing is. And for me, that's a very hard thing to figure out, like what's true to myself. Like, I'll give an acting. It is true to myself to want to make my parents happy, to leave a legacy for people who are coming after me, to build like wealth as a Black man, because I have had those opportunities. It is also true to myself to want to pursue acting with a reckless abandon and give up like whatever other certain like professional goals I have to pursue that only. And those are both true things. So I think what's hard for me is like, if I was convinced that one of those things was absolutely the right thing and one of them was absolutely the wrong thing, it'd be easy to make the decision. But the convincing, like, stuff gets gray once you get older. Because I think knowing myself, like I don't have like these, like sometimes I wish I was like a singularly focused person with like one value of like, I am going to be an actor, and anything else that gets in the way of me being an A-list actor is cannot stand in my way. I don't live that life. Like I feel like I have multiple competing values, and I think for me is like being okay with having those values, letting them compete, and like knowing, all right, this value is what's actually going to make me happy. Like maybe not in the moment, but in the long run, I'll be most happy having dedicated myself to this value at this time. I think that's super hard.
Yeah.
That's like
Well, that's so. I'm not sure if there was two questions. You said doing the right thing in your initial question. Was that correct? But then you switched to
I was asking
like
two
being
questions.
true to yourself.
Yeah, being true to yourself and doing the right thing. Because
okay.
I feel like we all
those
want
are like
to do the
similar.
right thing.
Yeah.
Which is being true to yourself.
Yeah.
But like, is it hard? Like, is it hard to do that? Because it's like,
I think it is. I think,
or do you even think being true to yourself is?
I think it's
You
a
know?
it's a whole deep dive, because the first part of your life is trying to figure out who you are, and it's like, so you're doing things to understand yourself better, and until you say like, oh, I was doing this, but I didn't even really want to do this. I was just like learning something in that moment, right? So it's like you go through these different phases where like yourself is always this thing that's evolving, and as you evolve and you get more clear on that, then you can make stronger choices. But it is like I feel that. I feel like people like, you know, like there's like this one singular thing, and I'm not like that either. I'm like, yeah, this is one thing of the many things. And what I've learned how to do is kind of like keep the same kind of energetic across the board in terms of like the discipline and a half. But it's like, if someone said, is there like one thing that I want to do? Like, fuck no. Like I love cooking food just as much as I love acting. And if someone said, well, you can tell me, like, fuck no, because I love cooking food. Like, I'm like, that was with me before I ever even thought about acting, and I wouldn't give it up. I was like, sorry, I'm just not giving it up. Like, I'm gonna have to. One can be great and one can be lesser, but like they mean so much to me. You know, and I think I don't. In relationships, it's the same thing where it's like you do get that space where you're like, I don't like. Do you really want to know who I really am? Like, you want to know, or do you want to know the good things that you like about me? And really knowing a person in their totality is hard, I think, because it's like there's qualities of me that people like, and then there's qualities of people that they're not ready for.
Yeah,
like there's a part of me where it's like, yeah, I don't know if you want to know about this, because it's like it gets dark.
Yeah,
and it's like human beings are light and dark.
Yeah,
and it's like, but I think there's an energy where like, and not all people, because like with us, we can have that kind of exchange, but it's like, it can be tricky within relationships, because like the things that women may love about you can ultimately be the things that they end up not liking about you, right? It's like, oh, I love your confidence, and then when shit hits the fan, it can flip to a different, like, it's arrogance now. It's cockiness now. Right? Yeah. Oh, I love that you have friends. Oh, you got too many damn friends.
Yeah.
And it's like learning how to like know how to be like, hey man, I am who I am, and I've been very honest and very clear about that, and I've spoke to it. That's what I've learned over life, is like learning how to speak to the things that it's like, this is who I really. I'm not going to compromise this for a relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're entering knowing, like, if you think that there's going to be a compromise around these certain things, there's not.
Yeah.
And I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
We'll hit a stalemate in that regard, you know?
There's a thing about like being like lukewarm in the Bible, where it's like, it's somewhat replies where it's like, you either be lukewarm, you either be cold or you be hot, but don't be lukewarm about whatever you're going to do. And I think very much so it applies to life, where you kind of have to get to a point in life where it's like, you know what, these are my values. I ain't moving on this. I'm gonna tell you what these are my values are. Right. And I think like whatever those values are, if you commit to them, you generally end up more satisfied in this life, where it's like, I'm not giving up cooking for acting. Or, you know what, Mom, I love you, but I'd rather act. And if you don't like it, oh well, I'm sorry. I find those people the most courageous and most admirable. Like I think about folks like MLK, Malcolm X, like dudes who I don't know whether or not they consider themselves to like know themselves, but like when I read their biographies, it looks like they both felt like terrible fathers at some point because they couldn't be in their kids' lives and they knew they were probably going to get killed earlier than they wanted to, but they also like couldn't stop doing what they were doing. And like both of those are like noble, like being a good dad, being like a world-changing leader.
Like, and I think I think you hit it on the head because I think life is gray. Like I feel like even when we think about those, it's like we think about these figures and like it's gray. In one regard, they did something that people value. Yeah. In another regard, their kids have a completely different perspective on them because they have a different relationship to them. You know, and it's like I think we try to be like these like ideas, but really it's like, yo, we're all gray. There's things that we do that are noble. There's things we do that are regular and basic. There's things that we build and people will look to us and say, wow. And then there's other stuff where you're completely insecure in that world. Yeah. It's like to create the conversation around that is to me, like it's beautiful because like, even like as actors, right? I feel like so many actors, they lose their steam because they only think you have to be an A-list actor. Yeah. And for me, it's like, yo, like I come up in a world where it's like, yo, in New York, no one cared about any of that stuff. It's like, yo, I'm just acting. Like I do plays. Like I don't give a fuck. Like if that one day turns into something cool, but like, am I gonna stop doing plays? Fuck no. And if you don't value me because I'm not known or I don't, it means nothing to me at all. Come see me do what I do when I do it. I bet you have a different opinion. And I think that's where I've gotten to is like, you have to like put it in its place. Cause like you'll be on a whole journey thinking you want something and you're like, you don't even really want that. You know, or it's like, I'm doing all this because I think this is what is valuable. It's like, yo, what is valuable? It's like, what is valuable? Like to me, my mind was blown when I started reading literature and it was like, it's how you do the things that you do. So if you're a barista, like I've been a barista in my life and I loved making coffee and I did it with so much like integrity and intention and it was a beautiful experience. And I was making minimum wage and people were saying, I was like, I love this shit, bro. Like I'm trying to put that little thing in the middle. And it's like, but it became a meditation because I treated it that way. And it's like, it's not about what anybody thinks of me. It's literally, it's like, I love this and that's why I want to do it.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Right? Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah, and it's like, someone said like weightlifting, and people say like I had someone like kind of like pass it off. I went in the conversation, oh, like weightlifting. I was like, and I had to let them know, like I had to let them know. I was like, and I like went deep on them. I was like, yo, this to me is like very powerful. Like I've learned so much about who I am outside of the physical transformation. And then as the conversation ended, it was like, oh, and I was like, I know
you weren't lukewarm about it.
I wasn't lukewarm about it. You know, it's like, but life is gray. You know. It's not like Martin Luther King is a man. Yeah. And he did great things, but like he also did things where we look and we know now it was like, yo, he was doing some things that made him regular. Yeah. Right. But it doesn't diminish what his legacy is, not in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think with that example, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, like there were these great men on these great tasks, but like weren't maybe the best like fathers at home because they just weren't around. What happens is like society creates these frameworks of how we have to operate and act and how relationships are supposed to be. But like God calls you into this life for a purpose. All of us have purposes and God has a calling for you and it's on you to answer that calling. And sometimes that calling doesn't mean like you're going to be at home a lot. Sometimes that calling means you got to be out in the community, right? You got to be helping people, uplifting people. In this particular circumstance, you were leading a cultural revolution, essentially, right? Like you were a social movement for a race of people in a time in which someone needed you, right? Like that was his calling. And so like sometimes you aren't a great father. Sometimes your kids aren't going to get a great father in terms of like being at home and being able to spend time with you, but you get a great father in the sense that like, yo, I've got this person who like I come from, who is out leading like this movement, like showing me what is possible, right? Like
willing to die for like this.
Right.
I give my dad a pass. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'd be like, hey, he was out there changing the world, bro.
And it's like, and like sometimes, you know what I mean? And it goes back to life being gray, right? And it's like, okay, he was a bad father, but like, yo, society needed him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Society and like the thing is like society needs you and needs you for whatever God's calling is. And like that comes with like the silence, right? Taking the time to sit with yourself and have that relationship with God, right? Like, and however that relationship like makes you comfortable, like trying to conceptualize what God is, the universe, mystic forces, etc. Whatever the fuck you feel cool with, like
Yahweh.
saying, right? Like whatever it is, right? But like he has a calling for you, and you have to like take the time to actually ask him what it is that he wants. Like one of my daily prayers isn't four things. Like what I pray every morning, like, yo, like God, help me understand what it is that you want me to do. Give me the wherewithal to see the breadcrumbs that you're laying out in front of me to like help the people that I'm supposed to help.
That's facts, because like those guys specifically, I'm sure at any given moment when they were with their kids, they're probably like, I should be leading the movement. When they're leading the movement, I should probably be with my kids. Yeah. So to the point about like, do I find it hard to be true to myself? How could I not? Like I don't, because like you said, like unless you and God are just in tune and he's directing your every like movement and like action, you don't have that where it's like, all right, yeah, you're doing the right thing right now.
Yeah.
Oh, the next 10 seconds, yep, you're still doing the right thing. Hour later, you're still doing the right thing. You sure? Am I sure, God? I don't know.
And I think I love this like Greg. It's like, what is even right? You know, like because to society at that time, the standard of what those leaders were doing by the majority of society, it would have been considered wrong.
Yeah, they were like,
right?
Not the
like,
guys.
You're crazy. Like, and it's like that's what I'm saying. It's like even that social structure is like you have to know within yourself, right? I'm walking this path, and I'm not perfect, and I'm not going to be able to show up for everybody at every moment and all times in the way in which society has deemed. And I have kids, so for me, it's like I have a different relationship because I think even this idea that you're going to like be here all the time is an illusion. Yeah. Like I'm constantly telling my partner and my kids, like I'm preparing you for the realities of life. I don't know if I'm going to be here. So why would I make you feel as if I'm going to be here to hold your hand from beginning to end when we know life doesn't work that way?
Yeah, I can't guarantee any of this.
I can't guarantee anything. You know, I wake up in the morning. I practice. I'm saying I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this food. I'm grateful for friends. I'm grateful that I have my health and I'm even able to pursue something. Right? I'm grateful. Period. When you really start to resonate from that space, it's like all this other stuff is sometimes it's like just this big illusion, you know? It takes you out of the moment. It takes you like, like that's what our culture is like, I'm here, and it's like, yo, I'm surrounded by 4 people who are incredible. I want to be able to see that, not be thinking about 5 years from now and 10 years. It's like, I'm grateful for now because I don't know what tomorrow brings. And I feel like that's how probably they were even thinking is like, I have this time now to deliver this message now. I don't know what tomorrow brings. You know?
Yeah.
Kids, I love y'all to death, but I really have fulfilled my duty because I brought you into the world. Like that's where we used to be. We go back in time and it's like, what is this promise?
Right.
Like this
You're not
promise
promised shit, bro.
It's like literally, it's like the promise was you're here.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. It's not gonna ever be perfect. What are you gonna do with your time?
Yeah. It's like it's an illusion that you think that you have more time than you do.
Yep.
Right? Like you think that you are going to live until you're 89 years old, right? You think you're going to live this life in this way. You're going to have your health forever. You think you're going to do this and you're going to get this job and you're going to marry this person and have these kids and have, you think those things are going to happen because those were placed upon you. And then you were like naive enough, right, to like buy into that. But like you could literally die right now. Right now, something crazy could happen like this. It could be over for you. And so it's like living for yourself is like really the only, it ain't easy like we've talked about, but like that's really the only way to live. Now, like to live with fulfillment and to live with purpose is like getting closer to source, right? To God and figuring out like, yo, what is my path? I can tell you at a very young age, and I don't know where this came from, why it was even in my brain, but like I always knew like who I was gonna be and how I was gonna be it. I don't know where it came from because it didn't match anything that I grew up around. I knew I was gonna be a football player. I knew I was gonna get out of my environment. I knew I had to work hard. I knew I had to do these things. I knew I had to hold myself to a different standard than everyone around me. My environment, by all accounts of how people are psychologically evaluated and all the data that's come from psychology, that environment is the biggest indicator in how you are. My environment said the opposite, right? Statistically, I should be in jail or dead based on like where I've come from. But like, I'm not. I'm sitting right here talking to you fine gentlemen, right? I had a vision that like, I am going to play football and that is my Willy Wonka's golden ticket. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Singularly focused on that. High school summers, I was training in the weight room all the time. Parties, vacation, wasn't doing that shit. Birthdays, no. Relationships had to work around me. I got to college, same shit. This is what I'm doing. This is who I'm, and that just got clearer and more refined as I got older. Football came to a place where I had to make a decision like, all right, do I want to keep pursuing this or am I done? I got to a place where I was done. I made that decision, right? And I was okay with that because I gave everything I had while I walked that path. I never looked back at football and wished I would have or could have done more. I knew I gave it everything I had. Do I wish it like would have like gone on a little bit further? Do I wish it would have had a slightly different ending? Sure. But I had no control of that. And so like when I moved on from football to wrestling, I didn't look back on it like that girlfriend that I wish like I still was with. I moved into wrestling with the same energy that I moved into, that I had with football. Yo, I am a professional wrestler. This is what I do. This job requires me to be all in here. Nothing else exists. Relationships, I did not have a relationship for 6 years, 7 years while I was there. It did not fit my life. I needed to train. I needed to eat. I needed to practice. I needed to travel. I needed to be on the road. I needed to do these things. I did not have time. Like there was not a person that was going to come into my life at that time that was going to understand that. Yo, this, and this goes back to, this is who I am. This is why you love me, but this is also going to be why you hate me. Because like the things that make me so successful, I'm not budging for anybody. Not for you, not for you, not for you. No matter how much I love you, like I love this more because this is who I am. And I can look back on all that time, regardless of how things turned out. I can look back on that time and be like, yo, I lived my fucking life. I lived it the way I wanted to, and I have no regrets because there's nothing else I could have done to ensure success.
And you defined success for yourself.
Yeah. Like success isn't, to me, like there was a time where success would have been Hall of Fame, football player, Super Bowl, fucking buttload of cash, right? Right. That would have been, that was success. Success in wrestling was, you know, on a Monday Night Raw, headlining Monday Night Raw, making a ton of money, merchandise everywhere, crazy storylines, breaking off from the WWE into Hollywood, right? Like that was what success would have been. But looking back now, like, yo, success was every teammate I ever played with, I made better. I pushed them to their limits. I made every team I was with better because I was there. And in wrestling, every show that I went to, I gave everything that I had. Every arena I performed in, I made everybody feel. Regardless of whatever status the company decided to give me, if you went to one of my shows, I made you feel. I'm successful. I haven't wrestled in 3 years. I haven't been in a show in like 3 years now. I still have people either reach out or message me, or I see on the street that can congratulate me or tell me what they loved about my performance. To me, that's success. There's nothing anybody can give me that can take that away, or there's nothing someone can do that can take that away.
Dan, I'm going to say this on record. Dan just gave his first humble brag. I'm no longer the only one.
It's recorded. It's recorded.
I'm no longer the only one.
You're going to delete that from the podcast.
He said he's been 3 years out the game, and there's still people that recognize him. His first humble brag. We got it on record.
Time stamped.
And I just think that's I hear, but now I'm in this place where I've gone from that extreme laser focused vision on things to now it's more of a buckshot, right? To go back to the beginning of the podcast and how we got into acting, wrestling kind of is what got me into acting, right? I never thought I wanted to be an actor. Now, I did think I wanted to be a professional football player, and I did think I wanted to be a professional wrestler, right? And then porn star after, in that order. I've done 2 of the 3. I've done 2 of the 3. But I never thought I wanted to be an actor. But it was one day at wrestling practice when because there's this period in wrestling where you wrestle and you suck and it sucks and you don't actually experience the joy of wrestling because you suck so much. You know what I mean? The joy of wrestling comes when you can get competent enough to put a match together that moves the audience. And so, but you suck for a really long time, so you never do that. You just get crickets, right? Which is will really test your resolve, going in front of a live audience and people at a place where it's promoted to cheer or boo and you get neither, right?
That's hilarious.
You just got some fucking middle-aged guy from Sebring, Florida who's just standing up wrap it up, wrap it up. You know what I mean? And you're got some dude a fucking chin holder. You're God damn it, what's the next spot? And so fucking when that moment happened in practice where I strung together a match that actually was I told a story, it made sense. It did what was supposed to happen. People reacted to the things that we thought they were going to react to. I remember driving home and just uncontrollably laughing. Just in my car all alone, no music, just bursting out laughing and being holy shit. I made the right decision to pack up everything I own and fucking move to Louisville, Kentucky and live out of my Cadillac and train in a warehouse for these months. You know what I mean? I was right, motherfuckers. I was right, you know? And then it was whoa, this is actually way better than the physical part of wrestling. And then these connections of, oh, this is why I actually liked partying so much. Because I like making people feel, right? I like to make people feel good. I like to make people feel bad. I like to make people feel everything in between. And so when I would party, I could drink and fucking tell jokes and do silly shit and make people feel good. And so I was like, oh, that was like an outlet for me. I had no way of expressing or understanding that, but that was my outlet for that. And once I started wrestling, I had no desire to go out and party and do that shit anymore. Because like I was doing that in my work. And so then for me, it was like, oh, I'm actually good at, you know, I have like a knack for this, and I'm willing to like keep pushing into the uncomfortability that is performing, and like I'm okay with being silly, and like this is what I actually love about wrestling more than the physical part of wrestling. So then it was just like, oh, all right. When I get done, like I started pursuing acting while I was wrestling, taking acting classes, pouring more into promos than I did into the actual wrestling part. So the physical shit was easy. Like for me, like that shit was easy, bro. You know what I mean? Like I catch a motherfucker out there. I'll lift some dude over, you know what I mean? Like I already proved myself in the physical realm with football. Like
second subtle flex right there, by the way. Second one. Timestamp
that. But like that shit was like, okay, I got that. And because I've been such a trained athlete all my life, I can pick that shit up easily. But like, this is the shit that actually like turns me on, right? Like, can I get a microphone? Can I stand in front of couple hundred, couple thousand people and elicit emotional response from my voice rather than my body? And so there was a point where I was going on shows on these like bigger tours with the guys on TV, and I was just like the promo guy. I would like go out all swagged out, big suave, and I would just go down the ramp, and I would just try and like, how could I be the most obnoxious, arrogant motherfucker that everyone hated instantly? You didn't know me, I wasn't on TV, there was no like promo that like announced me, but how could I walk through the curtain, you not knowing me, and make you hate me before I even started talking? And like, I was like, oh, I could do this, do all that shit, get in the ring, and just like, even before it was like, yo, what could I do? How could I look at everybody before I even say anything in the microphone? And then when I do say something in the microphone, how quick can I get you guys to boo me, to shut me down? And like, so that was the shit that I was like, oh, this is fucking magical.
On some level, I think that's what every actor got to be motivated by. Once you see the ability, every person, the ability to affect people emotionally is like, it's gratifying. I think it can be good or bad.
Yeah.
But like eliciting a reaction, making people feel something is, I don't want to say like godlike, but it's a supernatural feeling almost.
Well, I was actually listening, Malik sent me a podcast on Jonathan Majors. And he made a very interesting point in there about how acting is democracy. And he was like, people get to experience the world and other people through acting. Different cultures, different races, genders, you know what I mean? All the different shapes and sizes that are human beings. Most people will never get to experience all of them in their life, but through acting, you can experience all of those things. And when I heard him say that, I was like, wow, that really makes acting a very like,
it's an honor.
It is it's a duty that you have. And I know like the acting world like is like always on the edge of being overly pretentious, right? And I understand that like gripe from people, because it can be, and there are those people in this industry. That's like any industry. It's just like, but it makes you come to your work with like more intention and more, like you said, more honor. Like I have to honor this character because like people are going to see this character that have never seen this kind of person before. And so like I have to do the like who, what, when, where, given circumstances to my utmost ability so that the perceiver or the onlooker can really actually get a clear picture of who this person is.
Can enter into the experience.
And so it's like, yo, I have that ability to do that. And so like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let me do it.
It's a lovely experience. What got you into acting, Malik?
I came into acting, and it's funny because when I think about what Dan is saying, I've always been in and around theater. And my sister did plays when she was in high school, and I would help her with her lines, and I didn't think anything of it. And I would meet actors when I would go visit my family in New York, and I would see plays on Broadway, and I didn't think anything of it, right? I didn't think anything of it. And what happened was when I was 17, getting ready to turn 18, my best friend was killed. And that moment changed the course of my entire life, because it made me then ask much deeper questions. And I always tell people this, but like when you have a friend that is like you, I don't know if you guys have ever had a best friend where it's like you have a best friend, it's like you guys exist together. Like literally where it's like you see me, you see my best friend. You see my best friend, you see me. Like that's how we move through space from fourth grade until the end of high school. We were like inseparable. And he died. And it made me just look at life in a way where it was like, and he didn't die, he was killed. I want to be correct about it. He was killed in a hate crime. And it made me look at life, and I said, what is the purpose of life? Because I didn't think that this would ever happen. And I was sitting in my dorm room at FAMU in Tallahassee, and but this is interesting, I always watched movies. Like I'm one of those guys who like has a catalog of movies. It's like my dad was a movie watcher, and I've always read plays, and I read Shakespeare growing up. And so I always had movies. And so I'm sitting in this room and I'm watching Fight Club, and I'm like, this is like my solace. Is like I wasn't even talking to people. I literally was just like sitting in my room all day. And I'm sitting in my room, and then there was like this voice. It was like, you should do this. And I literally was like, what the fuck? I was like literally like, yo, what was that? Like it was like so clear. It was like, do this. Then I went and I first watched a play, which is it's a seminal play. I went and watched a play called Top Dog, Underdog, which is actually on Broadway right now by Susan Lloyd Parks. I watched that play and I was like, I've never seen no play like dealing with these kinds of issues. And then I auditioned for a play, and I auditioned for another play, and then I moved back to Texas, and I started studying theater performance, and that was a whole long conversation of like, I was always an outsider looking in, right? Because I wasn't like a theater kid, because I wasn't like nerdy or like any of those things. Like I played sports, I had a lot of friends, and I was always social, and I was in a fraternity at that point. So like I was like in this weird space of like, I didn't belong in the. And so then I had to like prove made me like prove myself. And I ended up, at the end of that journey, the last year of doing that, I ended up taking on 3 roles. I took on a role where I was Malcolm X. And like I literally was walking around campus with like a black trench coat and dyed my hair red and like put the glasses on. And then I did this role called 45 Seconds to Broadway, where I played a South African, it was a comedy, South African like waiter who just moved from South Africa to New York. And then the final role was I walked into a room and they were casting for Raisin in the Sun. And I was so confident about my understanding of that story that when I walked into the room, I was like, I'm only playing the character of Walter Lee. If you're not going to cast me as Walter Lee, do not cast me. And I walked in that room and I just did my thing, right? And I got cast. And what sold me on acting was like, I've had a handful of moments, because some people was like, until you have the experience of like being in a space where like it is not acting, it is living. You don't people don't understand like how it can like be so captivating. Like when you go through a moment, it's like you're not acting. It's like the things that people are saying are really affecting you. You're really responding with your truth in the given circumstances. And so I'm doing this play of Raising the Sun, and it was so deep to me because I saw my dad and I saw my uncles and I saw my mom, and I saw African American culture in a real way, a real point of view. And so in the final performance, and I'm young still, I don't even really know anything about acting truly. And in the final performance, I walk out on the stage, and I was so thoroughly committed to the moment. It picked me up. It was like, imagine this is how I describe it. It's like God. It was like a God moment where like I recognized that there is something so much deeper than me and existence. And I'm going through this scene, and it's like moving at a pace where like it's like fast paced but slow at the same time. And we're looking at each other's eyes, and like I walk off the stage, and I just start crying. And I'm just like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced, like this feeling of being alive. And then I moved to New York. And that was, I mean, like, it's a whole journey, but like, for me, I come at the acting from a place of like, acting for me, like we were saying, acting is the most noble thing I've ever experienced. And I've had these experiences in life where life has taught me to look at people in a way with any decision that we make, we can be in these different positions, you know? And I've had these jobs that have allowed me to like try to be as non-judgmental, you know? Like one of my jobs growing up was like, was another thing that I was like, I don't know, because like my job as a teenager was like, my dad is like an entrepreneur and like his businesses, and he was just an experimenter. And I literally, bro, sold clothes in a van. My dad would fly to New York, buy clothes off of the garment district, and come back, and we would sell them like in the streets. And so my weekends would be me driving around in a safari van with like literally like throwback jerseys and like leather jackets, and like going to barber shops and talking to people and seeing people that society would cast aside, right? Like seeing drug addicts. Like it, bro, I'm like, sometimes I have to like, it moves me because like I saw drug addicts, and I'd be like, and my dad would be like, yo, don't you ever in your life look at these people as if they're less than. And it gave me a different lens. And I would look at people, and I'd be like, oh, I see the beauty of this person. I see the beauty, even though they're down and out. You look at them, you're like, there's still something there, you know? And I haven't experienced anything. I have never experienced anything else where it's like you get this ability to connect with people in a way where it's like you get to see the rawness of life. And I think that's why we come to it, because it's like there's been moments to me where acting is more real than life, where people come into a room and they commit to some moments, and it's more authentic and more honest than most of us moving through our life on a day-to-day basis. So it's powerful, bro. And at this point, like I said, it's just so deep for me. It's like, it's everything that I do. I watch movies. Like I watch movies and TV. Like people say, like I watch movies and TV shows like religion. Like I don't care how busy I am, I will find a moment to tune into some story. I read plays like it's a religion. I study scripts like it's religion, right? I read acting coaches and teachers like it's religion. It's like, and the great ones to me always are talking about like it's this deep reflection of like life. Yeah. And our job as actors, and that's also where we struggle, is like it was never about being famous or being known. It was always about there's these young dudes that if they get this story, it might change their life, because when I got a story, it changed my life. Otherwise, I was like, I'll tell people, I was literally sitting in my room at FAMU. I was not going outside. I was not talking to people. I was ordering pizzas, and I was sitting down, and the only connection that I had was film. And if I wouldn't have had that, I'm like, I don't know, I probably would have like offed myself. Like truly, when I think about where I was truly at, I didn't understand how I could lose my best friend. Yep. Yeah. That shit runs deep.
Yeah.
That's also another podcast more.
That
Clip that
that
whole
thing was the deepest part of the ocean.
Yeah.
That shit runs deep, bro.
It's a beautiful story though. I appreciate you sharing
No,
that.
that was beautiful.
Well, I think on that note, we're about 3 hours and 15 minutes in.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's probably a good time to say farewell to all our listeners. And I appreciate you guys for showing up. I appreciate this conversation.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I appreciate y'all for inviting me in. Appreciate you inviting me in.
Yeah, no problem.
Ditto.
My pleasure.
Ditto.
Great combo.
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love to do it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Farewell.
Cool.